Hello and welcome back to the only show that breaks down, cracks up, skews, and reviews each week's DC Comics. I'm the president of Planet Flash, Eric Shea.
And I'm Jim Warner.
And this is the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast, episode number 477.
Oh my goodness, you're the president, are you?
I am.
Oh my, you are a fancy fellow. Welcome all you weirdos too. As Eric said, episode 477, we're getting closer and closer to that 500th, that milestone, Eric. Oh my, are you going to drink for that one?
No.
You going to be drunk for that one?
Why would I drink? Well, obviously, you drank 400 episodes ago, so obviously you drink 400 episodes later.
To go. Well, you like to get
You
your
going to be good
drink
that episode?
on.
I think you were good one time.
No, I was never good, including today. Telling you, I'm a little tired, Eric.
Oh, you?
No, well, I took Clayface to the lake about 5 times today.
Well, that's tiring.
Oh, it was. It was. Luckily, there wasn't an alligator to attack me like that old lady in that video, Eric. That was awful, that video. Why'd you bring that up? Hey, everybody, here we are. And please, before we get into tonight's books, which we have a plethora, we have 2 sections of 3 books. One might be a little better than the other. We'll have to see, Eric, because how would I know right now? But I think most people would agree. But we have a website, Eric.
Yep.
It's WeirdScienceDCComics.com. And you can go over there and see written reviews by my man Gabe and Eric. Maybe coming up, I might be returning. I don't know if it's a triumphant return. No, I already wrote 3 reviews out. So they are sitting, but they're not for this week. He's got all the books covered.
I may return. No, they're already written, everybody. I'm playing games. I'm mysterious.
Yeah, I ended up looking at some of the books and I ended up getting upset. I went and looked at some books. I'm like, that book is getting rated way too high. I need to come back and review those. One of those being, Eric, the Joker, the Man Who Laughs. And I ended up writing a review.
Never stop laughing?
With the whatever the hell it is. Yeah, you're right. I'm reviewing it. I don't even know the name. Twist at the end. It's a review with a twist you'll never see coming. Oh my God, Eric. I was laughing at myself when I was reading that. Also go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/WeirdScience, where you can get a bunch of books and bunch of podcasts. I don't know what I'm saying. I told you I was taking Clayface to the lake.
Obviously. I crapped a few times and I can't do podcasts anymore.
My arms are tired. I had a problem last night. I couldn't sleep. I don't feel well.
This is every episode.
I was already on a 3-hour podcast earlier today. It's nonsense, Eric. But hey, everybody, the Patreon. We have podcasts there. If you like podcasts, and I think you would if you're listening to this one. Is this better? I get my voice on.
I'm not sure they like podcasts anymore.
Don't act now. Let me tell you about this. Is that what they say?
Act now, please. It's only going to get worse.
We have a Patreon-only spotlight show that we do each and every week, every Thursday. 2 books picked by the badasses of the Get Fresh group. And this past week, they picked some good ones. One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul #1. Eric, I'm waiting for number 2. And I found it today about 7 times. Oh, my God. And The Flash 795, The 1 Minute War, penultimate issue of The 1 Minute War. I didn't actually realize until we were done that we had only one more issue left.
The pace of that story, I realized.
Yeah, well, yeah. You kind of fudged a couple things, but you'd have to go over to the Patreon to see what we're talking about there. But we have a bunch of other shows. I usually don't mention a ton of them. But this past week, we had our Hellboy Reading Club. Me and Simon did that. And we had stuff like me doing the comic book news, the Injustice Reading Club. We have a bunch of reading clubs. And me and Stork doing The Authority for our book of the month. And that start to that wasn't as great as I was hoping it would be. That Authority. I don't know if you ever actually read the Warren Ellis Authority that they said the new movies would be based off of. So that's why it was picked. Yeah, it wasn't as hard-hitting as I thought. I always loved the Midnighter and the Apollo, but some of the other characters really not well-defined. So I hope we have one more issue left because it's getting near the end of the month. I hope that ties it all together. But like I said, I also do the Injustice Gods Among Us. Just actually finished year 1 with the pretty good year 1 annual where you have Harley and Green Arrow and Dinah in that annual against Lobo. And Eric loves Lobo. He loves him like a son. And then, like I said, also the deal of the spotlight. And that was a pretty fun spotlight, me and you talking about Batman One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul. I really didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, but I really do
You had
like
all
it.
these preconceived notions about it.
Well, that's how you go, Eric. And will one of these books beat it out? And that's actually more hopes and dreams. I hope I hate this, is what I said. It was more worries. I was worried that it was going to be a bit heavy-handed. Besides that one jerk, Eric, I don't know. It was pretty good. But
that one jerk.
Yeah, I'm going to be
There's limitations here.
I'm going to do it a little family-friendly here. But yeah, so we have a bunch of books. And also, if you go to the Patreon, not only do you get all those shows, but you also get early access to this show as well. But here we are, Eric, and we're going to be going down the line. I say down the line, Eric, because this is the Badass Roll Call.
Okay.
Yes, I hope I have it up here. And just as a shout out, we have 2 new badasses. So,
nice.
And one longtime friend of the show, Trevitt. So we'll
What's up,
start
Trevitt?
with Trevitt. That's awesome. Michael Jordan, Eric K, Double K, Jeffrey Greek. Zachary Walker went up to the badass
Nice,
level,
Zach.
so thanks, Zach. Stephen Bat Dad Mitchell, the Annihilator, Ted Probst, I Love Punchline Stork, Michael S, Cam, Matt Razor, D-Man 3000, Francisco L. Rock III, Niels T. Wart, David Fink, Stephen Baum, Jason Colby, Sue 42 to you and me, Michael G, Ken Halleck, Comet Boom, Rocky. Here we go. I forgot all. I want a big fat cock. That's like you're not even trying.
What are you talking about, Eric?
Is that last name Big Fat Cock? That doesn't
that
make
classic
sense.
first name I wanna.
I want. Oh, you son of a gun. Mark Jager, Ruben, Carlos, Noah Wolfmore, Matthew Rapier, Luke Hollywood, Simon, Louise, Manship, Andrew in Belfast, Swanee,
These names are
Anthony
giggly.
G, Vermillion, Josh Vermillion, my man Pete from NYC, Batman Beyond Mark, R, a man, a B, Mira Brandy Murray up there in Buffalo, and Double A Ron doxing his ass in Minnesota. And a special shout out to all-time greats, Rob Lewis and Reggie. Thinking about them. And yeah, so there are the badasses. If you want to become a badass or just get into the Patreon, like we said, Patreon.com.
Just like that one badass. What's the name?
I love the idea. Like, this guy goes to school, and it's like, okay, Mr. Thompson, here, Mr. Johnson, yeah, here, Mr. Big Fat Cock. It's like, really?
Look, you can't choose your names, Joe.
Well, that is true. You can't, but you can choose your friends, Eric.
Like, I'm sure you weren't happy about your middle name, Alvin. You didn't have a choice in that.
Oh, how dare you? I'm going to come over and punch you right in the face. Yeah, look at the chipmunks. I'm like, yeah, look at my knuckles, you asshole. I ended up talking about...
How do you think Mr. Big Fat Cock feels?
I'm probably, like, I don't know, very excited. I have no idea. It's like, yeah, is Mr. Big Fat Cock in the house? Oh, my goodness gracious.
And what's your full name?
I wanna... Big Fat Cock. Can you tell I'm already losing my voice and my patience, Eric, with you. It's the idea of this. Well, I don't know. Well, you're supposed to be the nice gatekeeper that keeps these names away from me. I end up, it throws me off. And really, every time, blank slate, I'm going down, and then it's around, and it'll be funny. Here's the shout out.
Rocky.
It's around, well, it is kind of around David Fink, Stephen Baum. It's like there's a couple. But once I get to Rocky, then I've already seen what's coming, and I'm already trying to crack the code. Crack the code, as I'm saying.
Maybe one day you'll crack this one.
Oh, you son of a gun. Oh, my goodness. Great. Yeah, I forgot all about it again. But I was talking on the Star Wars podcast about the idea that I think that Darth Vader is just upset because every time he reaches his hand out and says, come with me to anybody, they leave him hanging. And I ended up talking about the idea of birthday parties and not having, people show, and it's always on Facebook, and I said, for some reason, it's always the fire company that comes over, right? Yeah, my one birthday. I ended up having a bit of a flashback. I got all upset. I had one birthday. One kid showed up, and my mom was
your brother?
pissed. No, I wouldn't invite him.
He ditched.
Really, I wouldn't invite that asshole. It was when I was like 7, and I had one, and it was the last year when I lived in Warminster. So I moved and got away from those assholes, maybe because there was a murder, Eric. But I was pissed because my mom, being the nice lady she is, well, she couldn't go on social media and get the fire company over. So she berated me the whole day because they spent money on a cake. My dad came into the room, grabbed that fucking cake, and walked out, watched TV, and ate the whole thing. And the one guy who came, I think my mom told him to go home. So we didn't even have a birthday.
Well, he already came. Why do you have to stick around?
Yeah, really. I mean, he fell asleep in about 3 seconds after that. So you end up with all of that.
Okay, dear, you can go home now.
Yeah, you just saw that your, I guess, friend is a loser. I went into school. There was hell to pay. Eric, I was so angry.
Because they have a social life?
No, because everybody, I don't know if they said they were going to come, but I probably remember them saying on Friday, because I think it was on the weekend, they were going to be there. And they weren't there, Eric. They still
it was 1975. They had big things to do.
No, it was 1942. Unfortunately, sugar was rationed back in those days, and we didn't have a great cake. It's what the problem was.
Look, the thing is, I imagine that, like how it was in the 70s, they wanted to come to your party, but they had that certain license plate number. They had to go to the gas station to sit in line. Yeah, how are they going to get to your house?
They were afraid of the Ayatollah of rock and rolla is going to get them, so they stayed home. Yeah, I was very upset. That's the last time. And then later, I think one other time my mom asked me if I wanted to have a birthday party, and I swear to God,
my mom got no friends.
She laughed at me. After it was just digging into
me. Well, she knew you.
But we moved, and I blossomed, Eric. I was like a swan.
You didn't grow, but blossomed.
Yeah, my legs grew, but, nothing else. And I'm talking all 3, Eric. There's no limitations here.
You do.
Oh, my goodness. But that is the end of the intro. I'm going to try to get my scattered thoughts together, and we're going to go off. We end up having 3 books that will start out with some pretty big bangers, Eric, like The World's Finest, Superman, and maybe the Nightwing.
How did we get from Darth Vader to your birthday?
Well, that was just because Darth Vader, I think, is mad because he missed out on his birthday, too. The current comics, Darth Vader's always upset.
Here, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on anymore.
It's just the idea that nobody ever goes to them. He's like, Luke, come with me, I'm your father. He's like, he'd rather jump off of the deal.
So you're trying to give us your origin story of how you're going to become a villain like Darth Vader.
I'm warning everybody. And when this happens, remember, 477, go back. This will be the evidence, Eric. But we're going to go off right now. We're going to have 3 books, as I said. We'll see what we think about those in just a second. Doesn't take much for that, Eric, obviously. But here we are. We have those 3 books, one of them being the Nightwing book that song referenced. But we're going to be starting off with a banger, I think. Not Eric, though. Eric does not like fun. I ended up planning on coming into this section saying this is the fun section. We're going to have a grand old time, like the old days there, like the old days.
Tell me those old days.
Those old days, rebirth. That's the only thing I could point to that we were really, having some good old times. And yeah, I actually thought that you might be impressed by some of these books. But before we go into that, and you'll see what I mean. You know what I'm saying there. Go over to our website, WeirdScienceDCComics.com, and check out some written reviews for these books by Gabe. And I might be coming back, Eric. I don't know about that. But maybe.
Who knows?
I'm such a pompous ass that I'm like, maybe like, ooh, is anybody going to mention to me that they can't wait? Nobody will mention shit. Nobody will. Yeah, really. I have to come in like the sheriff back in town. I'm like, these scores are getting way too high.
The sheriff was an asshole?
No, well, most of the time, yeah. The idea, though, is somebody did, shout out to us and said that without us doing, me and you doing the reviews, that people are getting away with stuff. And I'm like, you're right. You are right. They said, man, why aren't you and Eric doing reviews? You guys used to be there, fighting the good fight. And I said, I am back. I'm going to fight that good fight for you, kind sir. That's what I said. But we're going to get into these books right now. What are we starting with there?
Superman #2, written by Joshua Williamson with art by Jamal Campbell and Ariana Mayer. And in this issue, if you remember from previously, Superman is now in control of LexCorp, now newly rebranded as the Superman Corp. But that's not all. It turns out Parasite is on the loose, and now he's evolved into many, many little parasites that just want to keep on feeding on Superman. A blackout occurs this issue, and we have the idea still that Superman has to think outside the box, ask for Lex Luthor's help because he's not fighting a Superman villain. He's fighting Lex Luthor villains, and that is what we're dealing with our new Superman story as we continue on with our Superman being sucked off by a bunch of little parasites at the beginning of this issue. Just this idea. Look, I think this book looks great. I love Superman doing Superman things. I love Parasite. But when I jump into this and I'm not getting Parasite, I'm getting an evolution of Parasite where now even when we have this issue, like, okay, here's Parasite. Things are changed. Superman has to evolve and adapt. He might need Lex Luthor's help to get finish this off at the end. But by the end, with this whole idea where everybody's being infected by the parasite, it's not a clones of parasite. It's just an infection of parasites. It's turning people into other parasites. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when we had the Doomsday virus.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that this seems kind of familiar. And one of the things, though, I didn't hear anybody talking about, and I have to give big kudos, too. There's kind of a recap page, Eric, and that's something we've been asking for quite some time at
When
DC.
the evil Lex Luthor made it his mission to improve Superman, the Man of Steel was suspicious. The incarcerated billionaire went so far as to retitle his company Supercorp and place his hatred rival in charge. But before Superman could get to the bottom of Lex's schemes, disaster was unleashed upon the city. Now Metropolis is in the grips of the Night of the Parasite.
Okay, you proved
You're
that
welcome.
didn't say much there. It didn't say. No, I actually like that. I'm glad that
It's
they
fun,
did
yeah.
that. And I hope that that's something that they go, it's just not this book. I don't remember that in Action Comics, but that is an anthology type deal. So let's hope that most of these Dawn of DC books has it, because we've been wanting to get that for quite some time. And like you said, this does have some familiarity to it. The idea of the Doomsday virus, right? But you said it to me before we started, and I do agree. I mean, you started saying that some of this stuff starts to feel, and people are going to be mad at this, but it does have a Bendis feel. And it might be because of the Jamal Campbell art and the Naomi stuff. But when you go to the Secret Order of Mad Scientists, which should be some fun.
It's like Villains Inc., a Legion of Doom going on here, but it feels more like the Silent Mafia.
Yeah, it feels like that Silent Mafia. And it feels like that because of all the stuff with Lex saying, hey, you're not fighting your villains, you're fighting mine. And then you introduce a group that doesn't really make much sense in the whole scheme of things.
Dr. Amelia and Delia Shelley from Task Force Z? You don't think they're like a
I
big...
like seeing them. I did like seeing the things.
Even you have Graft, you have T.O. Mara, who I want to say is a control, but I want to say that, that it's, what's his name here?
Dr. Farm?
Dr. Farm, that's what it was.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't want to say it just because in my mind, as I went to go say it,
doesn't
was
sound
F.
right.
No, I'm saying it's not even that. I spelled it with an F instead of a PH, but it's so on the nose, but it's weird.
When he fights, he's like, as he fights, he pulls the string. The cow says, moo, and then he punches you like a cow. Take that, buddy. It was weird when I saw that Farm.
You have this interesting idea because we left off last issue with this weird mad doctor, scientist who looks like Dr. Satan to a degree from the House of a Thousand Corpses series, where he is using blue kryptonite to cut open the dead body of Bizarro. We don't know what he's doing yet. Some crazy mad scientist shit. But it seems he's got his brother, his freaking mouthpiece to the Order of Mad Scientists here, Graf, who looks like a shirtless Howard Stern in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he does. And it's that hair
on.
all over the place. Yeah, really. That's what I'm saying. He's not wearing a shirt.
Like, you have these long gloves that go up to your freaking biceps, but you got your shirt. Like, this is a look, and you're owning it. But please, stop owning it. Because even the idea is, like, it's either a shirtless Howard Stern in a wheelchair or a shirtless Weird Al Yankovic in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going Joey Ramone, Eric. But you end up where this is an area of surgery here, where you get a shirt on and those gloves. The only time I ever see those gloves is some Nazi scientist in Krayla. Yeah, that too. But
I know
you're never going to be doing something that great.
You call her mistress.
When you have those, yes, ma'am. Yeah, and so when you get this, it's kind of fun. It might be more fun as we go, but right now, you kind of just jump in and jump out and mention things.
What do you do with the Order of Mad Scientists here? Hey! We don't know what you're doing with that crazy stuff. We don't think you should be doing this. We got nonsense going around. It's pretty much as, like, his means may be difficult to understand, but he knows what is best to help people. We're just kind of arguing about what the Order of Mad Scientists at the end of this is really, what should we be doing? Well, we don't get anywhere with that. We're going to keep doing what we're doing until something happens.
Yeah. Well, and then, you have the mouthpiece, like you said, which is kind of funny, but it just is in and out. The name is really the fun part of it, so we'll see how that goes.
Dr. Farm would like to remind you all that Metropolis was ours first. Lex Luthor's incarceration is an opportunity, a blessing. I know you're scared, and you should be. Our upgrades to Parasite will bring back our brand of chaos to the city of tomorrow.
See, it's good, Eric. You're getting me going on here. Can you put those gloves on? I'd really be excited.
Who says I'm not wearing them? doing a podcast here.
I know that it's going to be hard for me to convince you of things, Eric, but that's not why I'm here. But maybe. You end up going off.
They have a parasite virus, and they have unleashed it in the city because now they can, because Lex Luthor's incarcerated and doesn't have the power to stop them.
And you're always thinking in the back of your mind, now they're throwing some shade at Lex and things like that, but I like the play, and I really wish we had more of it. And it's something that they did a little teeny bit in the current Spider-Man run that I'm not really loving. But the idea that somebody has turned the page and they're going to be good, but they keep doing things that look sus, but when you go to it, it isn't. You know what I mean? So I want Lex to kind of be in that where, oh my God, he's doing a deal with that person, but oh no, I was wrong. But in this, it's pretty much on Front Street that this band, because it really does feel like this would be something that Lex would start because he wants Superman to need him. He needs Superman. But even he says, man, I should have thought of this before. Like, this is a pretty good idea.
What do you know? A parasite virus.
Yeah. And he's desperate because obviously all the power's being sucked out of Metropolis. So he wants Superman to come and grab him. You know, do that. I'll go to the building. We'll work together and we could stop this. I did like that we finally in this.
What do you expect here, though, Lex? Like, all right, look, power's out all across the board. Thankfully, I have my own generator in my prison cell here, and I have myself some holographic computer screens that I can Tony Stark the shit out of, and I'm figuring this stuff out. You know what you need to do, Superman? In the middle of this chaos, you need to come and break me out of prison. That is main priority number one. Sorry, Lex, it's not happening, no matter what at this point in time. Like, maybe when the entire city is overrun Walking Dead style, maybe he's like, all right, maybe I gotta go get Lex, and I can explain to people shit got out of hand. I needed to go get Lex Luthor, and they'll be able to explain it regular. But right now, at this point in time, it's not happening.
Yeah, I think that once we get to the end and the cliffhanger, I think that is the final. I gotta go to him. He may say, listen, we'll work on an antidote, whatever it may be.
And that gets him a pardon.
The only thing that I had a problem with, or one of them, is Superman. He's getting sucked off, Eric. He's getting
constantly.
And in that, though, I never really got the feel that he had lost some of his until it's mentioned. They end up, well, you're only at half power.
But he's only at half power to his new extended power.
That's what I'm saying. And then you get real, it does get wacky.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so I really wanted to see, okay, struggling, but you're just going to go through this. The big struggle is the idea that people are being infected, and there's a ton of them. It's really at one point World War Z 100%. When they're up against that wall and they're trying to climb up and things like that. But at least we got Mercy with her newfound powers. We get to see that.
Lazarus Rain powers, yeah. Her robot gun hand.
I'm telling you, if she keeps that, right? And why not?
How are you going to get rid of it?
I'm telling you, well, you just end up saying she took a shower, washed off. She hasn't yet, Eric, but it'll be one of those things that people will just be going with it 3 years from now. They won't know how the hell nobody's going to remember. Oh, I remember the Lazarus Rain. You will,
but I'm saying newer readers. Vulgarian DNA.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like trying to, do that. And oh man, that was wacky. But
remember Random from X Factor? Just like that.
Yeah. So you end up where he goes down. And again, though, he's ripping into these things. He's going into the building. He's grabbing Mercy. And I'm not seeing him struggle that much, but he does rely a bit on the family, which I like, and points out that he uses, the freeze breath where he freezes the parasite.
He don't like the cold.
That ends up stopping these things.
But for how long?
And he's worried, Lex wants me to go break him out, but I don't want to. Oh my God. And it starts to get personal as it goes, but he does rely on the family. I
do love the Kryptonian family here as they're doing stuff, because you have Kara and John out there trying to maintain, pretty much a quarantine zone with the parasites, making sure that nobody can get in or out of Metropolis, especially the parasites. But he's just talking normally outside of a window. John, Kara, Dad! And it's just a simple thing, because whenever you have the Justice League or any kind of team, you either have like a Martian Manhunter, a telepathic connection. You have comms going on, comms get knocked out. But it's the Kryptonians. It's fun to say, I can just stand here and talk normal volume, and they're going to hear me, and they're going to respond back, and I can hear them because I got the superpowers.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that Superman has said even recently, the idea that he centers on different voices and specific words and things like that, where he would hear that. So, and so the same with Kara and John. John and Natasha, the Irons don't hear shit, though. No, they don't hear shit, but you know who does hear stuff? I love the idea that Livewire is in prison, and really,
She got to get a podcast out.
I guess we're lucky that this is, PG and not R, because when you end up having somebody yell, who do I got to influence? I'm like,
I've influenced a lot of people.
That is not what you would normally say. So that made me laugh, but oh yeah, here you are there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wants to
Truck
get out.
stop,
People
Tuesday nights.
are going to start worrying, and
influencing the shit out of truck drivers.
Yeah, you do influence. You have a lot of influence at the truck stop, but I kind of like that. You end up having, the idea that she is in there. We already had that from the first issue.
Which was the big problem for me in the first issue, where I really wanted to see a good live wire story, but no, that's over. Let's move on. I'm like, so here it is in my face again, like, well, you're not going to get a live wire story, but you do like Parasite. And then even throughout this, hey, you like Parasite, but you're not going to get the Parasite you want to see. Here's a Parasite virus. I'm like, and it's the thing is, I'm going to bitch just with nitpicking nonsense, really, but it's just those things like, I want to see these characters, and you're going to see them, but not the way you want to see them, or them in general.
Maybe we will eventually. I mean, Livewire's pissed. Grace O'Halloran's going to end up taking over the podcasting world there. She's got to get out there and put out an
Weird
episode.
Science Studios is still out there in Metropolis.
Yeah, actually, we are in Metropolis. She better watch it, right? Maybe we got her, set up, but she's yelling, hey, what do I have to influence and how to get out of here? But one of the funny plays is that Kara and John get the word from Clark, and they end up, freezing the city outside. And I'm like, what is this, that Gotham Resistance book in the night? Remember Dark Knight's Metal when you ended up having the frozen city? I'm like, okay, here we go again. I don't think many people are going to think of that, but there are things in this that you kind of get those weird plays of, this reminds me of this reminds me of that. But I like the art
like
a lot.
No Man's Land, Dark Knight Rises, the movie where you have make sure that nobody can cross the bridges in or out of the city.
Yeah, I like this issue. I like it more than you. I know that I do, and I really like the art.
But Jim, what about when we have to realize that John says, look, Dad, I couldn't find Mom and all this hectic nonsense. Clark loses his damn mind. He flies to the Daily Planet right away, and he can't find Lois, but what he does find is an Old West cowboy woman ghost.
I don't know what happened there. And if you do look, I told you this before, if you do look when Clark's like, hey, what's going on, Cal? Oh, my God, Lois. He doesn't even fly. If you look, he leaps. He actually is in the motion of leaping, like he didn't even take time. He just, boom, he leaped there and went in and then runs into a midnight cowboy. Like, what the hell is going on, Maryland Moonlight? What is going on here?
So in the midst of a parasite virus where all the electricity's been sucked out of Metropolis, shit is going terrible. You got a cowboy woman ghost named Marilyn Moonlight with,
two guns there,
spectral rootin' tootin' freaking pistols.
Yeah, rootin' tootin' pistols. Just there and like, hey there, little lady. I don't know why she say that, but it's just weird. It's really weird to have this character, and I guess
consider that a warning
things.
Shot, Superman. Metropolis's nights are haunted, and the legend of Marilyn Moonlight rides again.
It was very odd, and then
as she
goes
off, the moonlight
off,
of that spectral apparition has given me my powers back.
Yeah, there's a little bit of forced action there. He ended up where when this happens, Superman looks and he sees the Old West as she disappears, but Moonlight ends up, that's where I said to myself, I didn't really get that he had depowered that much, and now Moonlight from a cowboy, that is weird.
The idea, if you want to go with the idea that Moonlight itself is just the light from the sun reflecting off the moon, but this is not the moon. This is a spectral manifestation of this cowboy ghost woman, and give him his powers back.
It's very odd. It's a very odd play.
Magic.
Now, I'm not even going to start to even try to figure, like, she absorbs the moon's light, but then it's, I don't know.
Maybe.
But
we don't know anything about this ghost cowboy woman.
And it's just really odd. She looks great, but the idea that you stop for a second to have Marilyn Moonlight, the cowboy, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but it's fun.
Marilyn Moonlight gave me a vision of Metropolis and the Old West, even though we're east.
Yeah, I would rather actually have, say, a bit there with John and Natasha, something like that. And you get this, and I said to you that I swear to God, Jimmy's just going to go back in time like he always does. I even said to Matt Razor, Dr. Matt, that I think Jimmy doesn't get the credit for being the biggest time traveler in all of the DC universe because of the nonsense that he ends up doing. But he ended up having that. It was very odd. It just was odd, and then disappears. Superman says, oh, my God, I'm powered. I'm recharged from the moonlight.
Oh, thank God there's Lois here.
As Lex starts yelling, and I cannot say enough about the art, except for the idea that I'm like, who are you kissing in that picture, Clark? You better watch it. Lois is going to see that. It really didn't look like Lois there. I got thrown off by that. But yeah, you keep thinking that he's going to say, all right, Lex, but you can't because he's trying to find Lois here. And that's where she says from behind the corner, oh my God, Smallville, is that you? Parasite is everywhere. Oh, and then she comes flying out. Oh, my goodness. I know.
I need to get you to a secure location now. I'm so glad you're here. I'm hungry.
And there's Jimmy. I'm like, Jimmy doesn't get as great a entrance as the deal. Like,
come on, pal. Just a snack.
Yeah, so you end up having Superman freeze them, which I know you love. You love that move because they...
What's wrong with that?
You always say they'd be dead.
Look, maybe they would be dead if they didn't have parasites running through their DNA.
Yeah, he does look to see. And okay, there you go. They're alive, I guess. But at the end, he starts talking to Lex. Lex has already said, like I said earlier, Lex likes this idea. Why didn't I think of this? You know, a bunch of parasites seems pretty cool. And then at the end, Superman's like, oh no, these parasites have evolved. They're in the air, and it looks like he's infected
and now
as well.
He's not super doomed. He's super parasite.
He is super sight, right? Was that what you call it? Super sight. Super doomed.
Parasite.
DCeased. Whatever, Eric, he's there. Oh my God. And again, that really does feel like something else. But I like, besides Marilyn Moonlight, I'm never going to be able to convince you that it made any sense or was good.
If you're going to do something with a new character like Marilyn Moonlight, fine, do it. Don't interrupt the plague going on in Metropolis right now where people are being turned into parasites for this strange little interlude.
It's weird because I know it didn't look like this, but it kind of did remind me like, oh, there's Jenny Hicks. There's a lot of stuff that ends up being involved here that does feel familiar. You're completely right, but I liked it. It's not...
Oh, the book looks amazing.
Not a lot happens in this issue. You go from, point A to B, and that's not a real long distance, but I'm enjoying it. I like Lex trying to get Superman to trust him. He's going to eventually, or Lex now. I don't know what goes on now.
With Super Lex?
Yeah, well, again, it will be, but we like that, so I don't mind that. You said to me, if people use tropes and things like that, it's because they're good, because of that. This isn't quite that, but I do think with the last bit, you'll have Superman fly and take Lex out. I don't know what else he'll do with this stupid.
What do you do? What are you talking about? You got parasite in your veins. You're turning into super parasite. You fly into the damn sun, burn that shit out, and he gets superpowered.
I think he's going to end up, getting Lex out. Lex is going to have to get the antidote, and you'll have he does look like a Two-Face there. Got the one eye going. Oh my goodness,
Two-Face somehow looks prettier.
Yeah, he looks bad, right? He looks really bad, but I liked it enough. I didn't like it as much as the first issue, but I think that it's a quality book, and I'm glad that it seems like a lot of people like it because that's what we want out of the dawn of DC. It does feel a little more classic. It does feel, again, maybe that's even the tone of it. Feels old deal. Yeah, it does. It really does feel like it is influenced by World's Finest, which it may not be a bad thing. You just have to watch yourself. You got to watch what's going on. That Marilyn Moonlight. And on page and throat looks great, but it doesn't make any sense and just ends up coming. And really, the idea is like,
oh, it's red mist.
Thanks a lot with your rootin' tootin' 2 guns a shooting because she just bailed. I mean, why was she there?
It's a warning shot, Superman.
Why was she there?
The Metropolis are haunted.
Oh my! And look at that Old West. You got strong guy, you got crazy mutton chop guy. Yeah, look at that guy. The one guy's fucking huge. You can't say
strong guy because, like I said random earlier. Now I can only think of his X Factor in the X-Men.
This guy's humongous. But what would you give this?
Ultimately, I think the art looks great. The pacing and the story-wise of this book, like the idea of a parasite virus, I think it's very similar to a doomsday virus, but it's going to be its own thing, and I look forward to that because I like parasite. I want to see where it's going, especially because Superman is infected. It's just not a lot feels like it happens to the progression of this story. Like, oh my God, it's a bunch of little parasites. No, everybody's a bunch of little parasites. Oh my God, I'm a little parasite. Marilyn Moonlight.
Yeah. I'm a little parasite. Here's my spout.
I'm going to give this a 6. I'm going to give it a little 6.9 out of 10 because I do like this issue enough. It's just the way the story is told. It throws me off a little bit, especially with the Marilyn Moonlight interlude.
Yeah, that did throw me off, but I'm still a 7.9. I'll go one step ahead of you. It's not quite that. Marilyn Moonlight, I was going to give it an 8. But it does kind of pull it down a little because of that. But I'm still enjoying it. And I thought the art was great.
Even with the Supercorp, we're there. They're sucking off the energy there. But Superman shows up there. Mercy Graves shoots people with a robot arm gun. But we don't do anything there.
And that's the funny play, and I hope that this doesn't end up being a continuing theme. You're right. The idea, I'm down to a 6.85, Eric.
All
the
right.
idea, 6.857.
No. You were at a 7.9.
Yeah, 7.9.2. Yeah, the idea that, like you said, you want Parasite, but you don't really get Parasite. You want Livewire, but she's a podcaster in jail. And you do have, that's you. Right? That's you, Eric. But
all a personal deal.
I wanted to see some of the toys and stuff of the Supercorp, and you don't get that either.
Always want to see the toys.
You end up having things introduced. They're there. You get a bit of it, but not enough. And I wonder why. It is. And again, this is where, when I lose my mind, I'm like, I'm done with this. They didn't. It's not quite like that. It isn't. And I'm interested to see exactly how this all went down with the parasites. I want to see Parasite. Yeah. I want to see what he's up to. Is he pissed? Like, he's like, this is bullshit. Like, what's going on? Or is he like, oh my God, these kids, right? You have that, Eric?
And even as interesting as the Secret Order of Mad Scientists is, I want to see that even with, Graffs being a shirtless Howard Stern.
and you're just there, like, it almost feels like, hey guys, this is fun. And then you just don't do anything with it. But that's the World's Finest deal. You have so many guest stars. But the thing that World's Finest can do is that we know some of the things. You get the Doom Patrol in, you're like, oh man, that's cool, the Doom Patrol, and you kind of get the deal. But these guys, we need to see more. We'll see what happens. But we're going to move on to the next book. And like I said, Eric, the idea of the World's Finest, and people love it. People think it's a hoot. They do. Batman Superman World's Finest number 13, written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora, Tamra Bonvillain, Eric, Steve Wands. Didn't say anything, didn't mention that she blocked us. This is a Metamorpho issue. And when I see that on the cover, it's one of those things. First off, I kind of giggled. Then I said, Metamorpho, right? And this would be pure gold for Reggie. Reggie would really get mad if we didn't like this with him. But you end up where you start out. And I don't know. I sat there, and when I see Metamorpho, I'm like, okay, this ends up, I know that it's a team up because it's Batman Superman, but it's starting to really just feel like, okay, who's going to be the guest of the week?
That's the thing it's a Batman Superman World's Finest, which you want in this book, but for what it wants to be really is a Brave and the Bold at this point in time.
That's what it reminds me of.
Even with the idea where we have a recap of Metamorpho, Rex Mason's origin story, his relationship with Sapphire Stagg, Java, and Mr. Stagg, Simon Stagg, all of these things, it really just feels like the origins of him where he first appeared in Brave and the Bold. So I'm like, look, if you don't know Metamorpho and you're interested in Metamorpho after this, that's awesome. They did their job. They got you involved. Or maybe it is a longtime fan like Reggie who doesn't get enough Metamorpho, who just loves to see the classics brought back and reimagined.
Reggie would
stuff
not
like
be
that.
mad. If he ended up reading this, he wouldn't be mad that you get the origin. He'd just be happy that you get the character.
And it's fine. It really is. It's just that when we start the issue out with the concept of a story that we've already passed over, where Jimmy Olsen saved the day when both Mxyzptlk and Batmite transformed themselves to look like Supergirl and Batgirl to fool our World's Finest and Robin, but Jimmy Olsen, using his camera, was able to see the truth behind it. That's an amazing story that I want to see, and we don't get to have it to move on to a Metamorpho origin story where it turns out we have to find out if he killed Simon Stagg or not.
Yeah, and it's a funny back and forth, even when they're like, oh my God, Jimmy used the camera. Batman's like, I told him to take the picture. And I'll give Mark Waid full credit, whether this is just, in tune with me. I don't know how you felt about it, but when they're going, and all of a sudden Bruce starts talking about the motive that I'm like, shut up, Bruce, you're going to get in trouble. So at the end, I really liked the ending because I even thought to myself, shut up, don't say that you were mad at him or whatever. To have Jimmy then solve or at least think that he cracked the code. But I like seeing Jimmy. But again, this does feel like Brave and the Bold. And saying that, a lot of people love it because of that. And it is fun. The thing about it is, by the end, and this is just something, that me and you reading all the books or most of them and the whole continuity and stuff like that, you end up, it doesn't feel as important. Yes, it's fun. And it would be something that would be on my pull list because it is a solid book. It always ends up having a lot of characters. But when it comes down to the importance of it, it's just kind of there as this fun little aside. And this is why, and I'll repeat this, when I ended up talking in the Slack that one day and everybody lost their mind when I said Mark Waid and Dan Mora going off to Shazam, that seems cool, but I'm worried about it because I need it to mean something. And I'm afraid that they're just going to do something like this, which a lot of people will love. They probably are like, what?
I think could really use this right now.
Yeah, but if it ends up being a continuity that's back in the day, you have this, it doesn't matter, because when you end up having this gives you an origin for, Metamorpho, you have Simon Stagg, you have Sapphire, things like that. But you don't really know what they're doing now in the continuity because this is back in the day, something that always screws me up when I'm going with it. So it's good to introduce characters.
And it's good we could say it's back in the day because Mark Waid has said this takes place in the past during so-and-so time of like crisis between them. His explanation, which we talk about every time we talk about, his explanation made absolutely no sense. But we know in the future that Simon Stagg, that he's alive. And he's alive and well in the future. I think he dies in the Terrifics you were saying before. I can't remember exactly how that worked out, or if he came back again because of robot,
he died.
Freaking science or magic, however it worked. But he could stay, like you said, you believe he's still dead. I don't recall off the top of my head. But we know in the future that Simon Stagg is alive. So it's such a weird idea to come in here and say, all right, we have a murder mystery on our hands. Somebody killed Simon Stagg. And it's even weirder when Batman and Robin get on the case immediately. Superman tries to do it, but he has to do Clark Kent stuff to find out the story behind it with Jimmy Olsen because Perry assigned it to him. But we have his body still laying in the hotel room where he was found because the maid found his body. But for some reason, the maid knows it's poison. Everybody knows it's poison. His body is still laying there. How do we know it's a poison? What the poison is? Because it seems like Robin has to go and do freaking detective work to figure out what poison it is. Everybody knows way too much in this, and I have no idea how.
Eric, it's the city of tomorrow. They have the knowledge. And it is a locked door mystery, the idea that it really does point fully to Metamorpho.
It's really obviously a man who could turn into gas, sneak in there and take out his enemy. It's a certain kind of gas that he can make out of his body. Obviously, it's Rex Mason.
And I like the Bruce dialogue.
Oh,
the Bruce Wayne. I like the dialogue. I like the idea that Mark Waid threw in where Clark and Bruce are talking, and like, I don't think it's Metamorpho. I mean, we don't really know. He's Rex, not our best friend, but we have dealt with him, and this isn't his motive. But the problem is when he's like, listen, he doesn't have a motive. That might, like, it's not his thing. No, it kind of is. I mean, he's always pissed, if you know. And the idea
you had
of
your
Sapphire,
caveman servant freaking beat me in the head with a meteor to turn me into a monstrosity, which means I can never touch the woman I love ever again. Motive.
It's like Lady Hawk, Eric.
It's not like Lady Hawk.
What ends up being the thing is how pissed off those Kandorians are usually at Clark. He's sitting on his hands. He's never doing anything about it. And that's like Rex. He wants this cure, but he's not getting it.
Look, I'm a Superman, not a super scientist.
That deal, well, he's pretty smart, I think. But with all this, I love the background. I love the idea of seeing, and the art is incredible. I like the little caper, but by the end, it just, again, it doesn't feel as important, but
this is who
had
Rex
a lot of fun
Mason
with
is, his background. Now we're going to see Rex Mason taking out a bunch of Egyptian thieves at a museum because this is the stuff that he did as a super archaeologist to bring to the museum because he's essentially, a superpowered Indiana Jones is what Rex Mason is, which makes him actually pretty cool. But I'm never a fan because he's always just this weird looking character that doesn't do enough for me. He's always a background player, and he's not even the most interesting character in The Outsiders in my mind. Metamorpho is fine, but he's just not one of those upper echelon oddball characters that I personally love. Like, he's no Firestorm, and but the idea that he's here, it's like, all right, hey, Metamorpho, we think you might be this guy, you got motive, we don't know, and that is fine. We did all of this, you're getting caught up to speed with who Metamorpho is, just in case you don't know, or in case you needed a reminder. But at the end of the day, where Jimmy Olsen goes and does, his due diligence, tracks down the leads, talks to people like Clark told him to do, so we can have the byline of the story with Clark Kent to find out who killed Simon Stagg. I don't know how any of this points to the idea that, all right, Jimmy Olsen has all of these leads. He's talked to a bunch of people. He's already talked to Perry about it. Clark, you got to be involved. But you know what? We're putting the story where Bruce Wayne murdered Simon Stagg. I'm like, how did you get to any of this information? How do we have any idea for any clues, any evidence that Bruce Wayne is now in handcuffs at the end of this issue, being arrested for the murder of Simon Stagg?
The big thing is that those millions that it cost Wayne Industries. You end up having Bruce say, I
cost
lost
everybody fucking millions.
Well, again, I mean, this is something where he says he's cost Wayne, Enterprises alone millions by interfering in deals that would have helped the people of Gotham, all because I once beat him in tennis. Go. There's not a lot of evidence.
Jimmy, you did your due diligence, but you still have a locked door mystery. How are you pointing the finger at a dude who was a billionaire playboy who killed Simon Stagg somehow with poison before anybody knew it was poison?
I don't know how he would have figured this out, but I have a feeling that we're going to go down the line. We'll get one of the pieces of evidence will be that Bruce isn't going to have an alibi because he's Batman.
I was with my adopted son.
Well, again, with the whole play of like, I can't really say I was Batman at that point. Now he's smart enough to do something, so we'll see how this is. But I didn't mind that by the end. I think it's kind of goofy.
Look, just know that I'm Bruce Wayne, okay? I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm doing Batman shit in Metropolis, but you know what I have? I have a bat jet. I can get anywhere I want to be without anybody knowing about it. So if they come looking for my ass, it's going to be in Gotham. Where were you? Not in Metropolis, because you can check my, anything that with flying. I never booked a flight. I never went anywhere. Obviously, I wasn't in Metropolis when this asshole got killed.
Yeah, well, again, the evidence is there was a meeting set up. He was supposed to have the meeting with him, and that didn't go down because he's dead, and the millions. Yeah. I mean, there it is. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe Jimmy will reveal some other things with that. But when Bruce was actually talking to Clark, and he's like, man, that guy cost me, and then stops and looks back, and I mean, I'm talking millions. That's the only deal of, I think, putting 2 and 2 together, and Jimmy's done it. I mean, Jimmy isn't the smartest guy. He may be completely wrong here, but I do think it's kind of funny that it's Jimmy that's, Jimmy's fingering Bruce Wayne. I mean, that is as sexy as anything.
Now, I say this, is it Jimmy that got to the bottom of all this personally, or is it Jimmy that talked to somebody and then talked to a cop? Yeah, we think it's Bruce Wayne. We're going to go arrest him later on. You want to take a picture? Is that all he did?
I guess he ends up saying that I went to the cops and told them, and they thought this was ironclad, tight, and went with it. I mean, really, Jimmy's on it. I mean, you knew shit was going down when he had that toothpick in his sleeve. That's when shit goes down with Jimmy. He's there. He's talking to people. Look at him. He's talking to the coroner. He's there. He's got a detective hat.
Look, I understand. Jimmy is really proud of the work he's done. Inspired by Clark telling him to go do such work. I know, but I turned over every rock and interviewed a ton of sources. It's airtight, Clark. In fact, apparently Inspector Henderson got wind of my theory and is moving in within the hour. I'm like, did he read your fucking theory within the hour?
Maybe.
Did he just overhear it, whisper down the lane?
He might have. Oh, but
not only did I crack the case, we can be first to press the story. I'm like, yeah, Jimmy,
go for it.
What evidence?
Well, look, he's there. He's got the toothpick. He interviews the guy at the morgue, and then he takes sus pictures of ladies he's there. I don't know what he's taking pictures of at this point. At the one point where he's looking like the other way, he's hoping Britney Spears has a slip up. I don't know, Eric, but. Yeah,
look,
he ends up having
he's
the deal.
arrested in Gotham City because there's Bullock Montoya and Commissioner Gordon in the background arresting him at Wayne Manor. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure the guy has an alibi because all you really need to do. Hey,
he's smart enough to do that. I mean, he really is. So we'll see how it goes down. But I just want to see him just completely lose it on Jimmy. You son of a bitch. He's going to go ham on him and then make him. Turn his hair black to look like the Robins, Eric. That's what he would do. I actually
honestly,
like the dialogue.
I won an issue of World's Finest where Jimmy Olsen, all this goes, dyes his hair black and dresses like Robin and goes on an adventure with Bruce Wayne.
See, that would be really cool. That would be cool. But yeah, in this, it's there's not a lot to talk about because a lot of it is, hey, if you don't know Metamorpho, you'll get and it looks fantastic.
It's amazing. Can't stop.
You have this fun little caper going on where you have Superman and Batman go and help Metamorpho.
That belongs in a museum.
Yeah, really. I like that he goes in, he's like, oh, this shit's mine. I ended up getting all that. And I love anytime you see him as Indiana Jones early before he becomes that monstrosity.
Sexy, yeah.
And then I look at him, I'm like, well, when is that one like going to turn into a fried chicken drumstick, Eric? That's all I ever want from that guy. It never happens. And then you end up, but it was cool.
Oh, not only that, but the explanation of learning how Rex Mason, inflicted with this radiation of this meteor, and it caused all this to happen with all the things within his body becoming separate organisms. Well, not organisms, but separate components is the word I want. But the idea where it's almost like Dr. Manhattan reforming himself after the experiment in The Watchmen, where he had to learn to become himself again. Rex goes through that, and it's done so well through the narration, telling you how he became a humanoid-looking figure again and not a monstrosity blob.
Again, I like the issue, but there is a problem with that. As you're saying that, I'm realizing you're doing another thing where, okay, this is a good start. Like, I end up like, man, this could be a really good Metamorpho miniseries, but we're not going to get that. So what are we getting in this? And some of the stuff, I did like it, though. I did like it overall, and I like the dialogue between what little we get with Robin and Batman going, and Jimmy doing his deal. But
everybody
really
throwing shade at Jimmy at the beginning for some reason.
Yeah, you know why. But you end up...
Would you say that Batgirl's being a bitch here?
No.
Yes, you would, because you do that.
Probably. That would be me up there. I'm like, I got tacos, guys. They're like, yeah, we're out
Jimmy's
here.
Got talent.
And I'll just give everybody, the what up here. And I'm talking even the characters.
What about the word up?
When this shit word up, Cameo. I might be on Cameo. You end up where all of this going down, just arrest Java. A lot of times it's some wacky thing with Java, and this is a test.
I just know that caveman in future times, our present times, don't have the rights they think they have.
Well, again, Java usually gets jealous of Metamorpho. He sets him, and this is a thing that happens a lot.
That's every story.
So arrest him. I'm telling you that the idea of this
even
just
we
arrest
had the
Java.
Terrifics going on as Java became the Dr. Doom.
Exactly. Yeah, it did.
Did he kill Simon Stagg in that and then become Dr. Doom?
No, if I remember right, it was an unknown son that came back and wanted to take over Stagg Industries and was mad at Sapphire. So
I don't
it
remember
was
that
wacky.
Story enough. I bailed
It was really wacky. But he did end up getting killed. And again,
do you ever want to see DC heroes be the Fantastic Four? No, I'm passing.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. But at that point, it was that play of, oh my God, it was Java trying to set up, Rex, but it wasn't. So yeah, arrest Java. Java just throws Jimmy out. I love the idea of Sapphire's like, no, he's fine. Right out the door. Get out of here, you jerk. Everybody's treating Jimmy like maybe that's why he's just like, screw it. I'm going to get that asshole Bruce Wayne.
You wait till I get turtle powers.
I'm going to point at him and I'm going to, really.
You wait till I go back in time with Marilyn Moonlight.
You wait till Marilyn Moonlight comes and I go back and I'm her deputy. You wait.
I'm a deputy ghost.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But by the end, it looks great. You do, if you're into, figuring out or finding out, if you don't know Metamorpho, you get a really good intro. But overall, if you already know that, it sets up a neat cliffhanger, but it's one of those, like, really? Like, are we really supposed to believe that this is going to hit?
With Metamorpho, Rex Mason, and even the idea of Simon Stagg being dead. It feels weird for the continuity here. It feels even weirder if this goes forward and you have any way that Rex Mason is responsible for the murder and gets convicted by our world's finest. So it's such a weird feeling overall. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because it's still enjoyable, but it is padded out heavily with a, did you know this about Metamorpho?
I know. I'm giving it a 7.5 only because I really do like the art. I mean, the art is fantastic.
Amazing, yeah.
So
I'm going to say amazing each time. I feel like an asshole. You say that, I'm amazing.
It is. It's amazing. I ended up where, again, saying about the Shazam book, I wouldn't mind like the whole play of it, but this ends up being that fun book. It's on my do or die pull list, so I'm not throwing shade. But this one, Metamorpho isn't really, my thing. It was always Reggie's, so I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool, but
you're more of a Geoforce kind of guy.
Yeah, I want to get to something like that I like, Eric. I don't know what that is yet. I'm desperately trying to figure that out.
Hopefully it's the next book.
Well, when we get there, I'll know, Eric. When we finally do eventually get there, Eric, I'll know. If you wink, is what I'm saying. Nightwing number 102. We're going to just go with it, Eric. Written by Tom Taylor, art by Bruno Redondo, Adriano Lucas, and Wes Abbott. No credits page, drove me nuts. I was trying to figure out things, but we end up having what kind of is this book not since it started, but you're going to get a story with the Titans, the whole deal with Blockbuster's daughter and the whole Neron. And it really does feel like this is more of a setup for the Titans book coming up. It's okay. It's a nice issue, but this is the thing. We say that a lot with this book. And we just said it about World's Finest. And World's Finest has the benefit that it's back in the day. It's kind of a wonky little deal.
And this has the benefit of setting up an upcoming series, a series where the Titans will become the Justice League, essentially.
But we've been setting that up
Can they prove
a lot of issues. We're doing this here. And I mean, when you start out that Nightwing pretty much says he's Greg Brady and got stuck in the freezer at one point, then I'm laughing. And it's some fun.
He was put in there by a grinning man who was given demon powers.
Grinning man. I mean, really, like, gather up the troops here and take care of Heartless right now. go and take care of your awful, awful serial killer.
Did it actually surprise you when I had the editor's note when we had this story with Olivia originally? It was only 4 issues ago.
Yeah, it did actually.
Because I thought that was so long ago.
Seriously, Eric, you want to hear the crazy deal, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that's still in the back of my mind is, when is he going to see what's in the box, Nightwing, when he went with the hold and he ended up, we have this box. I ended up thinking to myself, okay, that seems like a long time ago. That's issue 99. It was only a couple issues back, but yet it seems like that was way back. And it does feel like that. I don't know why, because every time you read an issue, it only takes 2 seconds to get through.
The stories go by so fast.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not much happening. And I'm starting to, I ended up saying this, way back. I ended up saying, you even yelled at me at one point because, I thought you loved this book. And I'm like, yeah, it's really fan service stuff. It's nice, but that's all we're getting. And I hope that the Titans book is something a little better, or have like this tone that you have in this Nightwing book. Great for the Titans. I think it would be fantastic, but you're in Bloodhaven with Nightwing. This needs to be a bit darker. It does need to be, a little street level stuff, not just every time something's wrong, call in Cyborg to portal and go out. But it's nice he ends up saving Olivia. I got confused because they ended up focusing on her at one point where he does say, because it looks like, he's a shapeshifter and it looks like there's 2 Nightwings. She's all confused. And Dick says, what's my dog's name? And the Grinning Man doesn't know that it's Bitewing, but they were centering on Olivia. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, does she have a dog? I don't remember. And it threw me off.
It was actually surprised me. You couldn't figure out the panel progression.
It actually works out a little better than I thought, because when they're fighting, you do end up having him grinning. So it does end up doing well with that.
No, it's great with the idea of the Grinning Man, because you have a shape-shifting character, this Nightwing, for the majority of this issue. So his ass grinning the entire time is a great way to differentiate him for the reader. And not only that, but for other characters as well, because you don't want to have that, trope situation where it's like, who do I shoot? Who's the real Nightwing? And not even the viewer knows who it is.
Or you have him come in with the disco wing outfit, just like nonsense. It makes no sense, but you end up having that. But what I really did like, again, when Olivia ends up, and I'm a big dummy, I know that, but when she figures out, okay.
Instead of me messages like, what aren't you kidding about this?
I don't get it. Well, because it's like, what's the name of your dog? And it's centered on her.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, she has a dog named Nightwing? That's pretty cool.
She's looking up at the Nightwing in front of her, who is the Grinning Man. Nightwing?
She didn't really, she's looking, it's weird. And then I realized eventually, but I'm like, why did he give up the ghost that quick? Just because he didn't know her dog. I'm such a dummy. But
they established in the last issue that she loves Bitewing. She's been playing with him and Gar nonstop.
Everybody loves Bitewing, except the boys who are bad. They didn't like it. But you do end up, and I saw some people complaining, but I do like the idea. Ooh, she's Blockbuster's kid. When she ends up punching Nightwing in the back, she has something going on, which I think is really neat. Yeah, the Grinning Man. I'm sorry. You end up where, she ends up like she's got some power and ends up boom or to-toom. She does, and he just gets knocked. And it is funny seeing him get the crap kicked out of him and still smiling. That is pretty funny. And then I do like there's some really neat little dialogue bits that I hope we get more of. I hope we get more character work in the Titans book, but when the Titans do show up, it is fun.
No, it is fun. Like the idea of what you're talking about with character work, so I feel like this book definitely needs, because the Titans are here, and I hope the Titans, like aesthetic in my mind, where it's like, they're all here. They're all kicking ass and taking names. We're doing, hey, Titans together stuff. But the individual characteristics of these characters is mostly just, Raven knows stuff about demons. And like when you have Donna there, she says, I'm going to take you to Themyscira where you'll be safe. Okay, that's for a little bit. Wally, I think he just runs fast.
Wally runs fast.
Hey, what was that book that we had before that Cyborg kept going on? I don't even know if it was a Priest Justice League book or whatever. It felt like nonsense where Cyborg was saying that he could not open a boom tube on Earth because of the effects could be catastrophic.
It would end up where it would swallow Earth.
Because that's all I thought about this when he's like, hey, open this boom tube.
The big thing that I worry about Titans now, you can play it big because you end up, they're going to take the place of the Justice League. So, you can end up, they better fight the biggest of the big, because the power levels, and I said this, Eric, you can pretend you don't remember.
I don't know what you're saying.
I told you that when the Titans showed up in this book, it threw the power level of this book wacky, out of whack, and it still does.
Oh, yeah, you have street-level stuff going on in Bloodhaven. But thankfully, this is outside of Bloodhaven. This is Gar's house.
That's the problem, though, with
this is
all
demon
this.
Stuff.
And you do have neurons, so that's a little different, but...
He was one of the Dark Army.
But Tom Taylor never upped really that much of the level where the Titans just come in and boom, 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 we're going to do this, that, this.
Take that, you gritted asshole.
I'm worried that when he gets to the Titans book, because he is a writer who's so now into they're the best, it's just going to be, we can take care of everything easily. And you're just going to have, because you're already playing with the idea that people struggle with Raven, because you can end up sending everybody to the hell dimension, but you have to have somebody, don't do that. Or you have Corey who's way over, like there's a lot of power on the Titans and you have to kind of play. But Tom Taylor doesn't like to pull back and have anybody struggle, especially in this book. There's no real struggle.
Not at all. This guy, who is a wannabe supervillain for the most part, who went around in a Superman costume, thought himself to be a master of disguise, was arrested right away, was visited by Neron in prison. We get the whole backstory on the Grinning Man, where he sold his soul for shape-changing powers, super strength, and the ability to fly. But the thing is, he wouldn't have powers that would put a smile on his face all the time, and that's the monkey's paw of a demon deal, because now all he would have on his normal body was a grinning smile all the time. The rest of him is a featureless, essentially, I want to say skeleton, but it's not even quite skeletal. It's just a really lanky kind of black featureless body with a gigantic freaking smile on his face. No eyeballs to speak of, but he can shapeshift to wherever he wants to be. But that is the background on the Grinning Man. And that's what we get with the lasso of persuasion, because, like, I can tell you, you get a little bit of Donna Troy here with who she is, a little bit of background. You name drop Themyscira, name drop her lasso. You have Raven talking about demon stuff and how she's, she could get anything she wants out of you, if it, like through torture, or like she doesn't want to torture, but you get some little bit of Raven stuff, but it's the bare bones, the status quo kind of basics of these characters. So I really do want to have that family/friends dynamic that the Titans are known for. Like, we know they love each other here. They are here and they're a good team working together, but it is kind of this surface level, like they're here and that's about it feels like.
Well, and this is, as I'm looking through it, as you're saying that, the thing that I kept saying, and it's in this issue, Nightwing, he's trapped, he gets out of the freezer, and then you end up having Barbara just call Cyborg, boom, portal out. And then you end up where, you get to figure out who's the Grinning Man and who's going on. But when you end up having the Grinning Man, and this is where I thought, you kind of have to do more than this. When Olivia gets taken up and like, hey, Nightwing, oh, I'm not Nightwing. Nightwing doesn't fly. And then you have what could be the most tension-filled deal and a horrific idea where you have the Grinning Man throw Olivia and they don't move. And the problem is that's for a laugh. But really, what are you doing? Because they're just like, we're fine because Donna's going to get him. And so you're never like, oh, my God. Like, she's going to die. And,
you in over your head, Grinning Man. You don't know Titan stuff.
And then they blast him. And then he's done. And Donna catches her and says, I'll take you to Themyscira.
And he tries to run away. Flash runs up, knocks him back down.
There's not any tension here at all because he's way overmatched, and we know that. And there's no clever way to get past that. It's the idea of fan service. We're going to kick ass.
Total fan service of we're going to kick ass moment has no stakes in the situation at all. But when Grinning Man is going toe to toe with Nightwing, and Grinning Man realizes, because he's just some guy who wants to be a supervillain, doesn't much think about like characters like Nightwing, because I think he got powers, didn't want to be a supervillain, just wanted to take over and be a king, do whatever a king stuff is. But now he's like, are you just a guy? Do you not even have any superpowers? That's fucking weak, dude. Like, I like that progression, that moment of realization through the Grinning Man.
I wish it was more of that. And then you're tying it into that king that died, and you're going back to that. There's some weird plays. Yeah, the whole play of that and going down with it. But it really ends up
I like to think that was Reggie's, like, online handle.
That would be pretty cool. Just the idea where at the end it's like, okay, well, Donna, she has her lasso of persuasion, but it only works if her will is more than the guy. And then they just say in her will's eye, like, it's like, it'll always be. So she does that. Then the Raven, like, I could do this and I'm pissed off.
Well, you could add some tension because, demon powers, or who we don't know anything about this new character, the Grinning Man, but he's a schmuck, so it doesn't matter. Donna's Iron Will through and through.
It's an odd play. And also, I hope that patch, that eye patch for Beast Boy goes away.
Why?
Get rid of
What's
that
he going to do? He's going to grow another eye? What? It's a great look right there.
Fucking
He's
forget
Snake
about
Plissken.
it. That was so fucking stupid. Never really did anything with it.
What do you want to do with it? The guy's fucking lost an eye.
Why don't we go back to him fused with Cyborg then?
Why don't we go back and tell Slade to grow his eyeball back? Because he has a missing eye too.
Throw them all in the Lazarus pit. It'll change their clothes up and not heal the eye, though. That's the problem.
Joel Jones.
Deathstroke didn't get his eye cured. Oh, my goodness. I just don't like that look.
I don't like calling Beast Boy Changeling. I don't know if we're going through with that again. We're calling him Garlai here. So I actually don't remember an instance where anybody called him Beast Boy here off the top of my head. We might have. I just might not recall it. But we're going for that for a while there. We're going, all right, he's going to be called Changeling now. I'm like, still like Beast Boy better. If you're going to go with something else, so I might as well go with Beast Man because he's grown up now. But I don't like Changeling as much.
He grew up.
Well, that's the thing is he actually had that in the the Forever Evil or actually the lead up to Forever Evil and the Teen Titans for the New 52 era of that thing, where they were sent to the future so they didn't have to deal with any of the Forever Evil stuff. And there they ran into Beast Man, Gar from the future, who was green but never really talked about. He was the leader of the Justice League. And I'm like, that's such a cool progression for the character. He's now Beast Man. He's in charge of the situation. He's more mature. I always liked that. So having this here, I kind of got off base this one with the Beast Man thing, but I like the eye patch look just because it changes him up just a little bit and makes him, I don't know, more stern, not even an appearance, but everything that he went through, he's able to take things more mature now and realize, oh shit, this isn't all fun and games. Somebody can get hurt. No, because he got shot in the fucking brain.
Well, yeah, he did, but he's also fused with I just don't like it.
Look, you don't have to invoke Teen Titans Academy.
He looks like a pirate.
Snake Plissken is cool.
40.
No, not really.
Eye patches are badass.
You just want to remember your daddy. So yeah, and even the idea where Raven's pissed, you made a deal with the devil, it does feel very surface level and one-dimensional. Hopefully, though, when the book starts, there's more room. But this is the thing now. I'm a big fan. I'm trying to think of I'm a big fan of Tom Taylor. I'll talk about it later. The Titans book, I'm excited for it. I'm more excited because that's kind of your thing as well, but I am excited about it. But he's starting to get to the point where he has to prove to me that he is able to tell a, normally paced story. And I'm worried already about the John book. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But what I get here, it's very big fan service, which is a great way to set up a book. But when we get to the Titans, I hope there's more meat on the bone than like this issue. It's a fun issue. It's a nice issue. You get the team there going. You save a girl. She gets to use her powers. But by the end, you're not really doing things. And I don't know everybody else, but I don't think, next summer I'm going to be like, remember that grinning man that we love so much?
I'm never forgetting Grinning Man.
These things come
I'll
in
bring
and
him
out.
up every episode.
Yeah, it's just, at the end, it does feel like, we say, empty calories. It feels like, you got cotton candy. You're eating it, right? Oh, my God, I ate too much. I just ended up crapping out fruit salad. But then afterwards, when somebody says, oh, what's your favorite meal? I'm not going to think of that cotton candy, but it was fun while I was eating it. Shit all over me and stuff. It's like all melted and things I'm that girl in that GIF where she ends up the first time she tries and goes nuclear. But
oh, that's great. I love that.
Oh, I love that's one of my favorites. That is really one of my favorites. But like I said, when you're in the moment, you do have fun and you do end up having nice bits and you get to see little bits.
Oh, and not only that, but you're setting up some amazing stuff going forward for the next issue with the idea that it's all about perception and power in hell. Now with Neron, who is this, this king of hell, essentially, this really powerful demon of hell, he can't get the soul of a little child. Other demons are to come vying for his position if he looks weak. And so the idea is we got to knock fucking Neron off his high horse here. We've already pushed him back twice. He got another guy to come and do this. We fucking knocked him down. And now we got to go and have a hell heist where we steal the contract from Neron in hell. So we're going to have the Titans in hell taking on Neron, making him look like a bitch. But I don't know what demon wants to have his job when a few months ago Neron was taken over because of his position in hell to become one of the Dark Army for Dark Crisis. I'm like, who wants that to happen? Let Neron have it.
Yeah, really.
No, going to hell with the Titans, it sounds really cool.
And it's funny when you end up having Nightwing say, I'd like to look at that contract. I'm like, that sounds weird. Like the idea of him going, well, come on, lawyers. He has this whole
honestly,
group
I
of
kind of
lawyers
want to
down
look
there.
at the contract too.
But when we get to the end, even just the idea of Gar, oh my God, it's an underworld break-in. He's like, no, we call it a hell heist. That's every week of our podcast. Every time I come up with shit, you always you throw it in my face that you have something better.
I don't do any of that.
I spent like 5 minutes trying to come up with even better than Hell Heist and gave up. I couldn't come up with anything. And I'm like, oh man, I really wanted your acceptance, Eric. And I didn't get it. I ended up, and I swear to God, it would be right on point if I said, hey, I think this is better. And then off the top of your head, you would have said something like, that son of a bitch, he did it.
What did I do?
He did it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're just too damn perfect, Eric.
Look, I don't have anything to top this.
Top that, Eric. But we do have a backup. We do have a back. And I say all this, and you say, I am looking forward to the next issue. I want to see what that's all about. And you're upping the power level. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see the type of struggle. Yeah. I want to see them need the team. Look, you don't really need teamwork against the Grinning Man. You end up, you've already set it up. They seemingly knew that the Grinning Man was going to toss Olivia in the air and had that set up. So there's no struggle. I want to see what they do when they struggle, because that's what makes books. You know, you have to have the heroes struggle a little.
You mean the drama?
Makes the books. You need the drama. And the thing is, if Tom Taylor, and this is the secret sauce there, if Tom Taylor can give us a bit of the struggle, right, he will be great at the issues you love, the cool down issues, the issues that are really the fan service ones. But
does everyone want to sit in the kitchen, have breakfast, and talk? Yes, I do. You want to play baseball? Yes.
That's every issue almost in this book lately, and you can't really get that every issue. But when you do, and when you're, balls to the wall, and then you go, it is a really fun little deal, and he'd be
like
good
the issue
at
of Uncanny X-Men, like I think it was 336 or 337, I want to say, after we just got the Onslaught saga finished up, and everybody's just kind of hanging out at the Xavier Manor, and like thinking to themselves, man, that was a fucked up thing we just did. Let's everybody relax. It's raining outside. Perfect issue.
That's what we need. You said it before. You like even the Justice League, where they did all these things, and then you just have that issue in the Watchtower. You have the issue where they, two of them kind of go and do their thing and whatnot.
Even that goofy bullshit that we used to have for those Thanksgiving specials where the JSA and JLA used to get together and have Thanksgiving together.
Yeah, that was nice. And then Ma Hunkle, you're like, you can't cook, bitch. And then then people are fighting. They're yeah, like those are really cool. Again, somebody who has been doing that. We say Jeremy Adams, when that Flash book's hitting, he does end up having that in that way where, okay, the one big thing, but the kids have fun. Like you have that. I do like that. It is the kids in the barbecue. We're going to get back to that barbecue. Some guy ends up where he's mad at me about that. Well, he ends up yelling that everything about the Flash is bullshit. You shouldn't read it because they're pushing the world agenda of non-meat. The idea that Mr. Terrific ends up having fake meat. And I'm like, Buddy Baker's there. It's Animal Man. They're being nice. They're ending up where this is a guy who talks to the... No, it's a world agenda that they're doing. And I bet they'll have another one. I'm like, damn right they will, because everybody's frozen. We're going to get back to that barbecue.
Not only that, even if they were frozen, they're friends, they're teammates, they're co-workers, they're neighbors.
I said, whether or not you agree with being vegetarian or fake meat or whatever, you can be nice to somebody who talks to animals or at least gets their power and is connected to them.
And Mr. Terrific, let's say that he is doing this endeavor into, like, what do they call that? Impossible meat? Is that what they call it?
Yeah. It was like terrific meat, but yeah, exactly. That's what he's doing. He's going to make money.
He's a businessman. Of course he's going to do this.
Exactly. He's going to do that. Like, the Plague is funny because when Jeff Johns did the Aquaman, one of the big scenes was, I eat fish. They don't really talk to me. I can suggest things. They're not that smart.
What a great reinvention of Aquaman.
The fish are in the bay crying. Listen to that asshole talk. He never talks like that when he's under the sea. Why is he being a jerk to the people in the fish place?
I just want you to do me a favor. If they ever see anybody online saying how the New 52 Aquaman is bullshit, we should go back to what we had before, just send them the panel of Aquaman trying to have sex with that dolphin with his first crush. Say, do we really need this back?
Yeah, I don't think so. Remember when that one, and then the dolphin got caught in the propellers, and he's like, no, my love.
The dolphin went with his brother dolphin, because Aquaman in that original story was raised by dolphins. I say original, but the reinvention of it in the 80s and 90s.
The Peter David stuff, I believe that was when we ended up doing that during the shutdown. But that wasn't great. But again, I mean, really, if we have that, we kind of have this with the Penguin fucking the Penguin. So it goes tip for
That never fucking happened, you piece of shit.
I hear word on the street that might
You saw somebody saying Slack.
No, I'm telling you.
Saying they want that. That's all they want.
No, I heard some things, Erica. Actually, if you wanted to know about the Tom King Penguin book, it got delayed a couple of months. There's rumors that it didn't really quite hit with some people. Well, I don't know, but yeah, it's delayed till August. So we'll have to wait till there to have Penny. The writer said he was. I don't know what else to say. The writer also wrote
that Penny's father came knocking at the door looking for his daughter.
Never answered the door. We didn't know what it was. So we ended up, it's just a penguin out there. He's like, look at that guy.
It's Penny's dad. It's out there. He wants to know.
That guy's got a tuxedo on. But
Penny's not a penguin.
Back to this whole deal in the Titans and things like that. Yeah, I actually am looking forward to the book. I hope that it ends up, like I said, struggling a bit. But we go to the backup where it is it's weird, this one, because really this whole thing is set up of, okay, John, I'm going to teach you all the ropes and try to teach.
Be a detective.
This is more of like a on-the-job training type deal. It seems like at one point Nightwing might have even said, hey, you can go home now. I'll do this. But John wants to stay. John wants to go. And if you don't remember, there was trouble at the old circus,
the old
right?
circus?
And Nightwing can't escape that.
Like Nightwing's parents, somebody cut the rope to the trapeze wire?
Yep, that is it. And it is written by C.S.
Trapeze rope.
Yeah, the rope. Eduardo Pensica on art. I really do like the art. Julio Ferreira
It's
on
okay.
X. You didn't say. I like the art in the first part, though, Eric. Come on, give it to me. It's terrific. Adriana Lucas on colors. It's amazing. I forgot what he said. Wes Abbott on letters. So, yeah, they're looking into this Moida. And Nightwing says, okay, John, you can help. I love the idea. All right, John, you can help. Immediately he finds the knife with this vision. I'm like, yeah, you just don't want him to solve the whole case right away. But Nightwing is going to teach John how to do it. It's very nice. I love the art for the,
well, it's such a weird idea for the thing. It's like, all right, we got to find out who cut the trapeze rope, when the idea was, all right, somebody was going to fall, and we got there to save the day, but there was also a bomb hidden underneath a teddy bear in the audience. So, there's some bomb components here. We could always track this down, but we got to look at the rope that was cut. We're going to figure out inside the circus who cut this rope. And ultimately, it just comes down to, look, I learned a lot of stuff from Batman. I'm not going to teach you that stuff, but I'm going to try to edge you along the lines of being a detective yourself. But it's always people that are along the line. So we're going to question somebody, and then at the end of this little backup, I'm going to point the finger at the trapeze artist. Why'd you do it?
I do like the idea here where they're like, okay, let's look at this scene. What do you think might have happened? Well, the rope was cut, probably used a knife. Eureka! And then they find the knife. Here it is. And don't really do much with that. And then you end up where, they're trying to, and I love where what you get at that point, rope, knife, and you have Nightwing. He's like there with his hands together. Like he's really thinking, what could this mean?
Now that
rope and a knife.
I am not huge on the art in this, but for some reason, I love the look of John and Nightwing right here when Nightwing is pondering what the next action is. I love that so much.
I will tell you that when you first start and you end up where Nightwing goes, the strange clown will buy you a new one. All of a sudden, like, what's up with John's hair? It suddenly became a perm. He looks like he's got a Jerry curl going on. I kind of like it.
It's like a young freaking Jeff Goldblum in a Superman costume.
Yeah, it's really crazy how it goes with that. But I do
even weirder.
Like the flashbacks. I thought the art with that was really,
the
neat with
flashbacks do
Batman
look
and Robin.
good.
I thought that was good. I also like where John goes, I think it's this. And then Nightwing thinking, he's like, you stupid asshole. That's what I used to think when I was like 8. You idiot. But again, John, he was aged in the volcano, so we'll give him a break.
Yeah, he's not too smart.
Some people didn't like that idea of, okay, let me think of what Batman did and do something else because Batman did it like a piece of shit. But
yeah, it's a little dark. No, I liked it because Nightwing's going to be better.
I like the idea of giving the base dark deal. Don't trust any, because then you can evolve from that and do your own thing.
And that's been a running thing with Nightwing, like mentoring John the entire time.
But he's not doing that. I'm saying he's not telling what Batman said. He's just going the light version. And I actually don't mind if he said, listen, don't trust anybody, and then do your own thing. It's kind of a weird play. He just wants to make a little Nightwing is what he's doing here.
Why not?
But But he did get advice from the world's greatest detective. We're on a detective case. Maybe you should,
we're going to tweak
slip
that.
it in. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll give you all the best stuff about the detective, like advice I was given, but leave out the parts about not trusting anybody because they're all pieces of shit. And I am the knight.
That's the advice. My problem is the idea where the world's greatest detective says when you get to a scene, don't bring any of your ideas in like, oh, that girl there, she looks cute. She can't be guilty. That's all he's saying. Don't trust anybody and then find out through that. And Nightwing's like, yeah, just go on a whim. It kind of threw me off. I don't know.
It's like the idea. Like the thing is, you can take bits and pieces of advice and give the best parts because even the idea, it's like, I was once told great advice by my father. He's like, divest your money in different, things throughout the, to advance. Thing is, I'm trying to make a point here. I have no idea how to fucking save money or invest money, but I'm trying to, but then at the end, he's like, but also women belong in the kitchen. I'm like, well, I'm going to leave that part aside and just think about the money part.
It's not that, because here's what happens. No, I'm telling you, John says, hey, how does the Batman do the detecting? And there's where Nightwing thinks back. Believe no one. Don't think others will share your moral qualms. You will not see the truth. Go that. Like, it's darker, right? What does he then change it to for John? Nothing. He says, Batman doesn't like people knowing shit. Let's move on.
I'm not going to air my dirty laundry.
He never says anything. He ends up, it's a brick wall. We're not going to go to. And all you have to say is,
he's going to tweak it later on. He's got to think about it.
The tweak is when you get to a crime scene, everybody could be guilty.
That's right. It's like Clue. Everyone's a suspect.
Exactly. You got Colonel Mustard. He's got his pants off in the pantry.
You played a different game than me.
Seriously. He's got the lead pipe, if you know what I mean.
I don't. I want a big fat cock.
Well, you're going to have to wait for the next week. You're in the roll call, you son of a bitch. But yeah, I get it. I mean, I do get it, but it just kind of played off weird. You know, the idea of he is the world's greatest detective. And I do agree that when you come to a scene, everybody isn't going to have your moral fiber. You got to think that everybody could be guilty. And then what happens is they end up finding out that somebody that you wouldn't think. I mean, Batman's advice is straight up on. The
trapeze artist tried to kill herself and her son for some reason. And let's talk about the bomb in the audience stand. What's up with that?
I love the idea that it is that big, detective reveal. Like, it's like everybody in the audience, like nobody, like, what is going on? Like, hey, come on in here. I want to talk to you. I just have one question. Why did you cut the ropes of your own trapeze? And then she's like, oh shit, the jig is up and gone. Running. Just running. I would have done it if it wasn't for you, asshole kids.
Now, the thing is, what I want to know, while you enjoy the art so much, is we start this backup off with Superman just saving, like, everybody from the bomb. He has a little girl, he puts her down, and then the little girl runs to her mother and says, Mommy, the strange clown took my bear. I'm like, that was in your hand a panel ago. What are you talking about? Because now it's gone.
You didn't see the strange clown grabbed it then, Eric.
So the Joker came in out of nowhere, grabbed it and ran off?
That's what happened, Eric. Oh, my goodness. I actually, when I was talking, and I did try to stress the idea, the main love I have is the flashbacks. I really think those flashbacks are great.
Amazing.
Terrific. Some of the other stuff is okay, but John's hair, it's all over the place. He's having a real bad hair day. He really is, but he did not skip ab day. That is for sure. Look at that thing. Holy moly.
That thing.
But that thing. You know what I'm talking
Which
about.
thing?
Colonel Mustard. But at the end, it is a funny little, eureka moment, the detective doing that play. But yeah, now that I'm looking at it, you do have a lot of inconsistent art through this whole deal, but I like the flashbacks. So what would you give this whole issue?
Well, it's a weird thing with the whole issue, because I'm not a fan of the backup that we have with Nightwing and John. I wanted to think it was worth it in the end for the continued mentorship of Nightwing and the John becoming a superhero and a better Superman than he was previously. But it's like, I like the regular Nightwing issue. Yes, it's very like basic status quo stuff for the Titans. It just gives you a feel-good moment with a very easy plot, but it's still fun to read it, and it looks amazing. But when we get to the backup, it feels like it's out of nowhere, and like the art's a step down from what we had previously. So I'm going to give this a 6.9 out of 10 as well.
Really? I'm gonna give it a 7. And I love the art in the front up. I love Bruno Redondo, but when you're terrific. again, it's such a weird book to talk about because a lot of people, they love it. And I know you can tell why. It's a fun book. You end up having Nightwing being the best of all time. He never struck, but that is fun if it's like your only book that you're reading or you're sick of the darkness that you have in a lot of other books. So I understand it, but overall with it, I need more progression. That is something that a lot of people are starting to say more and more, but this issue was fine. It was fun. Olivia's cute. She ends up having some blockbuster, power to doom
Honestly,
the old grinning man.
I want to put, Olivia Desmond in the background somewhere. Like, the idea she's been, introduced here, Blockbuster's daughter, she's on the run. Maybe she'll become, over there to do Amazon stuff in Themyscira, Washington. But I just wanted to be on the back burner. So someday we could say that she grew up a little bit. And all of a sudden you have a little Blockbuster on a new Titans or something along those lines, or a new Young Justice. So out of nowhere, Olivia Desmond is a real Blockbuster.
That's the one thing when I was done that first part, I actually thought
inspired
to myself,
by Nightwing.
Is she old enough? She's not. But
no.
I thought it's kind of a shame that she's not a little bit older because I would like that character to continue. But with that power, her and Bitewing, off they go. The boys are abed, better be running. They got a target on their back. There's going to be trouble. But I did like that. So I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go 7.8. Because the backup, here's the thing. I want to see more training. This felt more of just like a team up, and I'm thinking they might just all feel like that.
It's not more like a standing around up.
Well, I'm saying the idea, oh my God, we're here. This isn't like, okay, run fast that way and I'll time you. I actually thought we were going to get a lot of that nonsense.
Thank God. You already did it, didn't you?
This is more of a, again, that was that. So this is a little better. It's, a little team up.
Didn't I?
Teaching John how to do things, John. And I did like at one point where, again, because Tom Taylor likes to elevate everybody, it's like, hey, what does your mother, Lois Lane, do? Because, man, she's the
investigative journalist. Just like my boyfriend, just like my father.
It almost felt a little too much. That's the thing that Tom Taylor does sometimes. It goes a little bit too much, but I like the mention of Lois and the idea where I wish he said, my mom, my boyfriend, and then I went at night, what about you? Oh, yeah, my dad, too, because nobody ever thinks of Clark as doing that.
Lois steals his lines.
Well, and what was funny about then that's what actually I was thinking of in that way back in the Superman book as well, that Lois, now that she's a parasite, she's going to be stealing everything. But I do like that whole play. It's fun. Yeah, you have it by the end. So 7.8 from me, but we're going to go off to some other books, Eric, which might be lower scores. I don't know. We haven't done them yet, but we'll see how that is. I wonder if you say terrific during it. Is that your test?
Why would I say that?
You're like Tony the Tiger. It's terrific, is what you say.
But I haven't said that at all.
I know. You say amazing. I don't like amazing as much. I don't like that, Eric. I want you to turn it into terrific. I like that better. But we're going to go take a little break and go off to the 3 books and end the podcast. And here we are with Eric Shea. How you doing, Eric, after that break, right?
What's wrong with you?
Are. We're getting ready to finish up this week's podcast. And we have 3 books, all of which are huge events in my mind, right? We end up, we have Revenge of the Gods. We have a War of the Undead Gods. And then we have Prison Break.
Where's the War of the Immortals?
Yeah, well, maybe it felt like at points reading some of these books that I was in there with the Immortal Men, but we have these things that it was one of those plays where we couldn't figure out, where to slot these in. And I was going to put DCeased War of the Undead Gods first, but then you had mentioned while we were doing our Patreon Spotlight, the idea that the big event book, and really dissed me.
Revenge of the Gods.
You even dissed me because you thought the Revenge of the Gods story should be in the first section. So
right.
I'm going to give you a little bit of props here. We will have it first.
Still in second.
I'm not sitting there, though, and saying that I love this just because it leads the pack here, but we'll see as we go along. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see what's going on with you in that backup story. But Wonder Woman number 797, it's written by Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. Art by Ammon K. Noapollon, Tamra Bonvillain. She blocked this arrogant back.
Of course she did.
I just have to say
she didn't need a vendetta.
Every time. Like I have a vendetta against the colorist, one of which I pretty much praise all the time.
Don't stop talking about how she's blocked you.
Yeah, well, I guess so. She's blocked. It's like the never-ending cycle, the chicken and the egg. Here it is. It's the Revenge of the Gods. This is the tie-in story. I was worried about what maybe old Clune and Conrad, the Clune-Rads, were going to bring to this because I didn't really love the backup of the first issue of the
This
Revenge
at least
of
makes
the Gods.
The backup make sense because the way it was split up for the Revenge of the Gods Part 1, where we had the main story and like Wonder Woman, she's going to ascend to make sure that the Amazons of Themyscira are still under the protection of the gods and safe and sound. And then we get to the backup with the Clune-Rads like, oh my god, Themyscira is under attack. It's no longer under the protection of the gods. Like, well, this doesn't make any sense. At least with this issue, it makes sense because now we continue on with the idea that Hera has lied to Wonder Woman. She's not going to make her ascended. She's going to make her wear a gold dress for some reason and tie her ass up. Ha ha, fooled you.
Yeah, and so all of this, Wonder Woman at first claims I was going to join. I want to protect my sisters versus man's world, and I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah, and we're not the only ones who didn't realize that this, because I think it was supposed to be a dupe, but the timing of that backup to this, I think it was a little off. This would have been better served if I guess it gets all screwed up, right? You may have wanted that backup the next issue of Revenge of the Gods, and so you can kind of go with that. I don't know. The timing's off, but you end up having this, and the big play, I look and I see Eros. He's a god. He's got two hands there. I'm like, he's got his two hands. But they end up pretty much capturing Wonder Woman and tying her up, and then we get a lot of
on the Promethean cliffs.
We get a lot of weird plays with the lasso in this issue. There's some weird phrases and weird things that are said in it, but it's not terrible. Wonder Woman says she can't break out of the lasso, but look, I don't know why they end up having regular rope around her hands. I mean, use the whole lasso on the whole thing.
I can understand parts of this, the idea of bounding Wonder Woman with her own lasso to make sure that she cannot break. It used to be Wonder Woman's whole big thing. If you bound her up, you couldn't do anything, especially with the lasso with truth here. This is fine. But the idea that we're going to have Wonder Woman be our big hero of this whole thing, one of the main trinity, what we are expecting for this gigantic, if you want to call it an event, I kind of want to, but if you want to call it an event, she's going to stay here. She's going to talk to Hecate. Where's my mom? Well, your mom's not here. I'm going to help you. No, I don't want you to help me. I want my mom to help me. Well, I don't want you to help me. Okay, I'm not going to help you. Hopefully your mom comes along.
That's my favorite part. Hecate's like, screw you, I'm out.
It's just, this entire time, Wonder Woman refuses to do anything that anybody asks of her or suggests something of her to do. This whole thing almost feels like a filler issue. Like I said, I'm glad that we jump into this and realize that now this makes the Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods Part 1 backup makes sense. But we have Wonder Woman who's tied up this entire time for a mysterious stranger who sadly doesn't seem to be her brother Jason to show up and they're like, okay, I'm going to free you. You're going to free yourself because you're going to tell the truth. It's going to be this weird back and forth about the idea of how the lasso works. You can become unbound as long as you tell the truth enough times. So was Pinocchio at this point with the lasso.
It's very odd. They kind of jump between, and it's almost like they ended up, they're coming to an end. Their run's actually coming to an end. And it's almost like, ooh, we want to have this bit about the lasso. We really want to talk about the lasso. And they kind of grab different things from different things and kind of combine them in. And it felt very odd. Some of the things that Wonder Woman said about it, especially to, who we thought was going to be Jason. I guess we just call him the Hooded Stranger. I really was upset. But again, I kept thinking, maybe they're still going to play that, but it doesn't feel right now if they did. It really doesn't. But the idea, I don't know. I guess maybe this is their twist that they thought was going to be clever, is the idea where Wonder Woman is there. She's bound. She can't break free. She says, I couldn't have gotten out of this lasso anytime. Oh, I get it. I lied, and I got to tell the truth. But the funny play is before that. I love when Hecate is there, and Hecate's asking some questions and going, and I'm really going down, oh, she must be telling the truth there. Well, she's bound up. It didn't even make any sense that, you didn't have to think that because she usually should be telling the truth. But the funny play is, by the end, it worked into that with me, the idea of, hey, I want my mom here. Ooh, she's telling the truth. Well, yeah, she is. We would know that. That's what I'm saying. I'm going through and yeah, I was a fool. Oh, you were. You're telling the truth. But when she ends up realizing, oh, that's right, I was actually going to dupe Hera. I was fibbing. I got to use that. It's a weird play because that wasn't done when she had the lasso on. It's just a nitpick, but she kind of said that before any of this. So when she got bound, almost like that's the one lie she told in her entire life, and she has to get that out. And I'm sure she's lied a lot to Steve Trevor. I'm just saying, Eric, you know how it is.
I know how you are.
Yeah, really. That's what I'm saying. But I even went, like I said, you end up binding her up, but binding her hands with just regular rope, that ain't going to work with Wonder Woman. I didn't know why they did that, and it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. No.
You end up having this hooded stranger come and just lop the head off of that Cyclops. I'm like, what did he do?
He was a Cyclops guard.
He was doing his job. I mean, he was...
hindsight's 20.
Doing what... 10.
No.
Remember I said that before? It screws in my mind. Yeah, see, well, hindsight, he should have never applied for the job, I guess.
What's he going to do? He's a Cyclops.
I like the idea. His head's bouncing down the mountain. He's like, I'm not a god. I won't come back. I don't know why he can still talk, but he is, Eric. He's all upset. Oh, my goodness gracious. But the stranger does save him, but then I don't know. I don't like the voice of Wonder Woman in this issue for some reason. I don't know what it was.
Well, Wonder Woman is just argumentative this whole time. Like, she doesn't know what she wants to do.
You're right.
And the whole thing is, like I'm telling you, it almost feels like the idea of her being this argumentative as a character is just to pad out this issue with what we got going on because, all right, the stranger's here, and he unties us like, who are you? Well, I'm here to help. I'm going to do this. Well, are you going to bind me up so, I'm telling the truth? No, I want to trust in the faith of people and the truth of the matter. Plus, anyway, you were talking when you untied me, so you would have been compelled anyway. It's just this weird, sing-song back and forth until the idea, all right, now we're on the cliffs. Here's a Minotaur. And also, here's Euronymous and his, pretty much his ghoul horde coming out of the ocean, which now we have to fight. And it's like, I will stand here and I will fight for you, Wonder Woman. You get out of here. You go back to them. No. I am going to fight. Well, I have a squirrel here. I'm like, oh my God, Ratatatas from Valhalla, you're my best friend. Wonder Woman, we got to go. Well, since the squirrel asked me to go, I guess I will. So long, stranger. But just this back and forth about what she wants to do. Like, I'm going to stay and fight. Well, I would appreciate if you didn't because I'm actually putting a lot out here right now to make sure that you get back safely. No, fuck you. I'm going to fight because I'm Wonder Woman. Oh, here's a squirrel. Oh, shit, a squirrel's here. I'm going to go to Themyscira. And even when we get to Themyscira, we have the hordes of the undead legions coming out of the freaking Well of Souls where Wonder Woman's portal it out, though, because all of a sudden we get this portal through the Well of Souls, even though it was shut off, it's turned on. Who knows how it works with Doom's doorway anymore, because it's always kind of left up in the air how any of that worked out with the new Amazons to Themyscira, whether they were cursed because it was a part of Doom's doorway. We never know. We just kind of moved on. But now we have ghouls coming out of there, even though it seemed like she had nobody behind her when she was coming through the portal initially, and then they're right up on her ass.
I said before, this reminds me of what I thought my toilet was growing up, that if I flushed the toilet, it was a doorway to hell. That's what would happen. Look at it. That's why I'm falling down the stairs, Eric, to this day. To this day. But I'm telling you, here's the play where you said it. Wonder Woman is very combative. Now, you could say, well, she's stressed, all that, but you end up playing this game. Hecate comes. Hey, I'm going to save you. No, I don't need you. I want my mom, my mommy. And then she does get free. Doesn't even mention Apollo, even though Hecate says, oh, she's back there. She can't come out. She's in big trouble. I would have went, if it's me, kind of need all hands on deck, and maybe Apollo could have helped in this.
Yeah, maybe a goddess might be good right now.
That's what I'm saying. Normally, I would say, oh, we got to get all hands on deck. We got to get over there. But a goddess might help. We haven't really seen much, and I'm sure we're going to get more of Hippolyta as a goddess in this. We really haven't seen much, right? Well, there you go. We may not, but just the idea that Ratatatas comes in, and again, what had happened at the beginning of this run, where Clunrad came in, me and you were into it for a bit. We were, hey, this is pretty cool. We always wanted to see different pantheons here in Asgard. Cool. Thirsty Thor's Day really was the end of that. But even before that, you always had something happen, like a MacGuffin, something happen.
Dead Man.
Dead Man. And Ratatatas at points where everything's solved by just snapping your fingers and getting to the next thing. That kind of happens here again. It drove me a bit nuts here with that whole idea.
Check this out. I got this portal in this cave that was right next to the Promethean Cliffs, and you know what? It goes right to Themyscira. Lucky you, but you better jump in fast now because portals like this, they don't stay open very long.
Yeah. There it is. And then, okay, remember.
All right. Well, thankfully this is here, huh?
Very, very similar to when we got done that first phase where, oh my God, Wonder Woman, better jump through that portal because you got to go to the New York City before it closes. Yep. It's almost the same. I've seen this, but she has to get back.
No, I have to stop this satyr before I jump in this portal. That's the old stuff, not this, thankfully.
Stop it, satyr. Oh my God, it's just like the Cyclops. He's just being the Cyclops. He's being the Satyr. But yeah, they end up shaking hands.
20.
She goes on. She goes in, comes out of the Well of Souls.
Bad eyesight Cyclops is the worst.
Really, I don't know why, but it really felt to me, the idea of having corpses and big demon hands coming out of the Well of Souls, like shit, to close that thing up completely. Now, I know that we have that play of, it's in, out, it's working, it's not. Just burn it down.
Who knows how it works now when you have a god who, at the deepest parts of Tartarus, that feeds on the flesh of the dead, who's been now promised to work for Hera, because now it gets warm flesh, how it can just, come through. And I guess it is just because the idea, well, Themyscira is no longer under the protection of the gods. And even the idea where Hera is like the big god who's in charge to protect. Like they're talking about Zeus must not be in charge anymore because we're no longer under protection. I'm like, I don't know if Zeus was the god that was really doing this before.
Yeah,
it was
I think
Hera.
Zeus was. That's the thing. I thought, it was Hera, but I think they're playing the idea of Diana. It's very odd that they're playing the Zeus thing, which really comes into play where I rolled my eyes in the backup as well. But when you have this, you just have a horde of the dead coming in. That kind of ties back to the Lazarus Planet a bit.
It does, but...
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
It ties back into a story that never felt like it made sense to begin with, because you just said, here's the armies of the dead that the Amazons defeated for over the millennia are coming back to life because of Lazarus' reign. And like, well, they're here now. We still have ghouls because of this other god coming through the Well of Souls. And also, that stranger that was going to fight to the death on the shores of the Promethean glyphs. No, he's here now too because time works differently over at Olympus. And now he's here and he's fine. And it's like, okay, we have the horde of the dead. We have an earthquake going through Themyscira. We have all this green gas, which I was afraid was Lazarus gas for some reason coming up out of the ground. But we have the hordes of the dead.
It was burrito night the night before, Eric. I did gross. Verify that. That is.
Wonder Woman, I'm here. This is my home. I'm going to fight with my sisters. Don't you need to go and fight for mankind because of your friends there? No, I need this. I think you need to fight for your friends in mankind. You know what, Nubia? You's right. I'm out of here. What are we doing?
And then she goes and she's like, I'll be back and we'll celebrate both of our victories. And then they go off and you end up having the Amazons.
Amazons are dead.
Having that, having that last line deal as you just have ghouls. Now, here's the play. You do have whatever the stranger is, if it's not Jason, right? And you also did have those crazy TikTok guys, right? Because I wanted to think, okay, by the end of this, remember they were doing the video they were going to put online? Hey, look at us. We're here on the Amazon, Themyscira. We're here.
I thought you were talking about some meme that I wasn't party to. Like right now, I'm like, what are you talking about? These TikTok. Oh, no. We had these two guys that were murdered, and the beginning. Actually, it was the backup of the Lazarus Planet,
the backup
Revenge of the Gods, where these gods came upon Themyscira. Oh my God, the island's no longer protected. Stranger murdered the shit out of them, and now we've got to deal with the dead.
Yeah, what I was thinking is, at the point, not even remembering them and hoping this was Jason, the idea, you still want to maintain that no man has ever set foot on Paradise Island.
That's been gone.
That's out. Because
this
these
shit is
ghouls.
A tourist attraction, man.
I'm saying these are ghouls, so you can end, skeletons. That's a gray area, right? But yeah, you've had people already step.
And even the idea, I know we played it loosely, but pretty much for a little while there, I want to say during the rebirth era of DC Comics, and maybe throughout the New 52 when the reboot happened, that no man had stepped foot on Themyscira except for Steve Trevor, and you can't do it. It's a cursed object. You can't no one is allowed to step foot here if you're a man. Jason, he was born here. He was the real person who did that. Was a big part of the war for Darkseid. Oh, I'm sorry, the Darkseid War. But now it's just, it doesn't matter anymore because it goes back to the idea like, hey, we prefer if you didn't step on our land, but whatever, he's cool. Because even we have the backup of Mary Marvel. Oh man, I need to find Wonder Woman because shit's gone crazy. Billy's gone missing because of Fishtown shit, which I'm like, who's going to understand Fishtown if you're not from Philly at this point?
I laughed so much. I'm like, don't go to Fishtown. Billy, there's no reason to go to Fishtown. Even, here's the thing, and to tell everybody, legit town, right?
Oh yeah.
I laugh every time I hear it. I end up when I hear it, I'm like, oh, he's Fishtown. I just giggle every time. Yeah, but it's real. But yeah, they just have the embassy just open portal.
But even the idea of the embassy, this just seems like something that might be in Philadelphia, right on the Rocky Steps where it's a portal to Themyscira, because Mary's like, boy, I can't find my brother. I need to find a Wonder Woman. I better walk through this portal. There's no guards. There's no Amazons. What is this place? It's just a portal to get to Themyscira.
It is in Boston, but I will go with the idea that I wish it was right next to the statue, like the Liberty Bell. They're like, hey, look at over here. Oh, my goodness. But you end up with all that. Like, the portal's open. I love kind of the play of this backup because at the end, we said in the regular front up, Wonder Woman just flies away. We're going to have revenge on the gods and goes off, right?
Yeah.
So then you end up going to this backup. And I was like, all right, when I saw the thing on the cover, let's find out what's going on with Billy. He's got that rock of eternity in him. We're going to, no, we're just Mary Marvel. And she's.
Which is actually really cool because I really thought that this story was just about bringing Billy back. Well, I thought we were just going to bring Billy back for no real reason. Oh, he put the Rock of Eternity inside himself, cut off the Wizard Shazam, he got all pissed off, and I thought this was going to be a Wonder Woman Billy story, and that's it. I like that we're continuing on with the new champion of Shazam, where Mary is a Shazam. She's a Mary Marvel.
You could have had both of them. And I don't know why you have to have Billy in Fishtown.
I like something's wrong with Billy right now. He's cut off.
Again, there's always something wrong with Billy.
But like we saw in Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods #1, he was shot by Apollo's arrow. We don't know what's going on with him right now. Mary's at least a part of the story, which I'm happy about because I did not expect that initially.
Yeah, and I think that Josie Campbell should have been told a couple things, and she completely fucks up because she goes to Themyscira. She goes through the portal. This is the exact time that we need to know how the powers are affected because of Zeus. Zeus is dead.
I don't think anybody's doing this shit.
Well, here's the problem is, in an issue where you're explaining the idea that Zeus's power to keep them protected on the island is gone, why isn't it affecting Shazam's power? Why isn't it affecting Mary?
The thing is,
it doesn't make sense.
We can
in my
talk
mind.
about this every time because every time we have something show up with the gods, at least I try to bring up the idea that, hey, how does this affect Captain Marvel or Shazam since we have all these champions who are letting their power to our mightiest mortal at this point in time? It is never brought up. It is never answered. It is pushed aside because nobody wants to deal with that shit. I would love for somebody to deal with that shit, but if it's not brought up again here, I'm like, that's disappointing, but I would love it.
I wish I knew that if you have one of the gods gone, can you still become Shazam, but you just lose that power? And they could have easily just played it. She goes to pick up a rock. Man, why aren't I strong? That's all you needed to do because Zeus is dead. And so it's very odd.
The idea that Zeus is dead, and I always like to think the power of Zeus is one of the things that creates the lightning that makes you into the mightiest mortal Shazam at that point in time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you need the conduit of all of them? I don't know.
Exactly. But no, we've seen it before, even during the Batman Who Laughs the Infected storyline, where King Shazam, when Billy was infected, was going around and killing off the champions that gave him his power. I'm like, how does that affect your power? Never brought up, never talked about, just moved on. It was one shot, and we never dealt with it
And
again.
you already said, you talked about Darkseid, where in that, Billy ends up having
He
the
got cut
new
off.
gods. Yeah, he got cut off. So I just thought that this was a pretty cool way that you could have explained that and went with it. But no,
I'm telling you, I would have spent 3 issues talking, if I was writing this book, talking about the idea of how this is going to work and like this part for the superhero and how like they get their powers from this, what they can do, can they affect this, that, and the other thing. Because by the end of this, if you're going to say that the power of Zeus, the god Zeus, is the thing that's been protecting Themyscira this whole time, all of a sudden you're just going to trade places where Billy's in the Rock of Eternity protecting that from, the forces of Neron and the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Now all of a sudden you're just going to have Mary Marvel sitting on Themyscira, learning to be an Amazon as her power is protecting the island because the gods refuse to now and they're just doing it against their will. That'd be a cool way to do it, but I don't know if we're ever going to do it.
I know. I don't think we are. I don't think that they end up really caring or wanting to do that anyway, but
nobody knows what to do with Shazam.
Also, it just felt, again, the front up, as I said, it's not horrible. It just felt off. It didn't feel like Wonder Woman, and it felt very rushed. And, hey, we got to get from point A to point B, get out of here because the big story's being told in the Revenge of the Gods issue.
I appreciate it for just making the backup to the first issue of Revenge of the Gods make sense. Finally.
But then again, you're appreciating because they actually didn't fuck up. Like, that's how low the bar is set for you.
I'm all happy when people don't fuck up and prove it.
Even this, in this, Mary comes down, and I'll tell you one thing that drives me nuts in a lot of comics, and this does it, is the idea of things going nuts around characters, and they just stop to talk, they stop to hug. I mean, shit has gone wrong. But Mary comes down. Hey, I thought that this whole place was protected. No, it looks like it's down. Oh, was that from the Lazarus Rains? You are correct. I'm like,
but more.
Not really. It ends up because Zeus is dead. But, they're going with this whole play. And they just start fighting zombies.
I thought this place was protected by gods, but judging from the zombie army, I guess not. Did the Lazarus Range change that? Like, where's Wonder Woman? You are correct. The gods have withdrawn their favor. Hades is finishing what the Lazarus magic started. All right. Because now Hades is the one who's involved in this whole thing. We have Ghoulish God doing this. We have Hades coming out the ocean with his army of the dead from Tartarus. It's crazy.
Here's the weird play. I think it should have read, Mary says, oh my God, I can't believe that your island isn't protected anymore. But what's making these zombies? Was it the Lazarus rain? You are correct. And now Hades is here to finish the job. It feels like she should have met the zombies, not the whole deal, because we keep talking about how Zeus has not. It was driving me nuts. But really, all this is Mary and fighting. Just Mary fighting.
Mary is here essentially just a teenage girl on Themyscira, alongside a bunch of Amazons who are fighting for their lives to protect the island and the rest of their sisters from the undead hordes of Hades. And it's like, you need to get out of here, or you need to pick up a spear and fight. No, I'm good. Shazam! I'm like, yeah, she's good. Like, nobody bats an eye that a lightning just came down, struck this girl, and now she's a superhero. I don't even know if they could say that she's a superhero. She has new clothes on, essentially. Like, cool, let's fight. I'm like, please, address this.
This felt like, I don't know. It felt like they were having a lot of fun here, like fighting while they were fighting zombies, and the whole island is being overrun.
Zombies.
And they're sitting there, they're high-fiving, they're talking. Like I said, at points, they're just like, boom, 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 and then just stop to go, hey, what's going on? Then you do find out that the Amazonians, they ended up getting some of their trinkets and treasures, and they have those on. What's weird, I was really
they have their god-powered weapons.
Yeah, I was really thrown off by some of these going, because Baya, I'm like, the helm, and then it kind of comes in later. Oh, there it is. Like, she didn't really have that going on, but they say she didn't.
So when are we going to have the spin-off series of this whole Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods where Hoppy the Marble Bunny and Ratatask get together and have adventures?
Oh, Hoppy will rip the throat out of that Ratatask.
Oh my God.
Take him down. Just get out of here. But it is funny that you have that in here as well. And just Hoppy just shows up. Hey! You just do your same voice. We gotta get through the portal and say, Billy,
I opened up a portal right here, but because of the god stuff, it's kind of hard, so you need to make your decision. Are you going to stay here with the Amazons or help me find the Billies?
Yeah, and what I want to think is, you end up where, Hoppy says, we gotta save Billy. We gotta save him. Oh, no, I have to help them. He's in Fishtown. Oh, shit, I gotta go. Man. I gotta get out of there. At least he's not in Camden. So you end up with all that going down, and there's the hugs and the kisses, and then she just jumps through the portal. It was nice enough.
No. First we had to demean Mary a little bit, because now that we've won this pretty much this beachfront battle, because we have this battle going on all across the island at this point in time with the undead hordes. We have 4 Amazons here. All right, Mary electrocuted the undead hordes with her magic powers, and like, hey, I'm feeling this real trouble. Billy's my, family, but you guys need help too. So I feel like I'm torn in 2 different directions. Stupid bitch. That's man's world talking.
Yeah.
We don't got to belittle her that much.
Seriously. They better look both ways, because they're really laughing at Wonder Woman here. She has been stuck in that for so long, and they are laughing. And plus, Baya, you have been in Amazon for a hot afternoon, and you're there throwing shade at Mary, who wants to help everybody.
She doesn't want to lose her cool.
I love the idea. She's like, I want to help everybody. Oh, what a jerk.
Help family first and then come back. That's what's important, you dumb bitch.
Why are they laughing at her? It felt so ridiculous.
You sent me this paddle, though, and you were so angry about it. I'm like,
I was.
I'm thinking you're just having flashbacks to high school about when somebody rejected you and called you pizza face, and all the girls laughed at once at you.
That is actually, would you like to go to the prom with me?
That's all I thought about when you sent me that panel.
You jerks. They're like, what with you? Oh, and they all laugh.
You might be good looking if it wasn't for that face.
And then it's, Baya comes up to me and goes, listen, you ugly. And that's it. I walked away. I'm like, all right, whatever, you bitches. And then I left. But yeah, they have a group hug. After getting belittled, if I was Mary, I'd be on some Shazam shit going on, and there'd be some trouble.
Well, it's not only the gods you got to worry about now, bitches.
But in that, too, I love this play where, did Josie Campbell, did she think that the reader would not figure out, hey, everybody, get all the zombies in the water, make sure you keep them in the water? I'm like, okay, we get it. You're going to use the lightning, right? And
I just thank God that they have Return of the Living Dead Part 2 theories with the idea all right, the only thing that can kill a zombie is electricity.
Well, that's cool. The one has the gauntlets that kind of does the electricity as well.
Look, that's like a battery. She's got a lightning
couldn't
bolt.
think of it, though. She was thinking of ways to
She used
throw
the wisdom of
shade at her by
Solomon.
the end. She said, no, I'm not talking about Mary. I'm talking about the Amazons.
Oh.
They're having
Well, they don't have
problems
the
because-
wisdom of Solomon.
Well, no. They have the shade of...
High schoolers.
Yeah, I guess. The shade of high school TikTokers, Eric. That's
Hey
what
there,
I
new
think.
girl.
I just love it. It's like,
Tell you, all of a sudden the Amazons are just the mean girls.
yeah, they are.
So the whole thing is like, Mary Marvel comes in, saves the day. It's like, look, I am torn between helping you and finding my brother. Listen to her.
You son of a bitch. I was just drinking my coffee and I spit it out. I spit it out of my lap.
Oh, yeah, because Mary, she's torn. What man's world bullshit is this?
I don't understand. Like, really, what they're saying, I think, is fuck that Billy. You stay here and help.
No,
like the man's world.
Family
like,
comes
what is
first,
going on?
obviously.
It just it threw me out of there. I was so upset at it. I could just imagine just these Amazons going around. It's like
the classic comeback on Themyscira. Sounds like man's world problems to me.
Actually, I would bet that would be. I bet you that's all they say. So that just sounds like something they'd say in man's world. And then you have to shut your mouth.
I just asked for a fork.
Yeah, I just asked for directions. I just wanted to know where Wonder Woman was. They're all just pissed off at everybody. They're bored, Eric. Really,
Again,
they don't have much
they're in the
to
middle
do.
of a siege of an undead horde. Stop laughing at Mary and get back to the other part of the island where you're needed.
Seriously, you look at that panel, they are about to fall over. They're laughing so much there. And like, again, there is, and they even spell it out, like, hey, we stopped these guys here, but we have all the other places on the island are under attack, and they have enough time to laugh at Mary Marvel. Oh, my goodness. What would you give this over?
Ultimately, I'm happy about this issue because it makes the last issue make sense for that backup where we understand Wonder Woman's conundrum now, her problems with the choosing Ascension when it's all full Jew situation by her. I love that Mary Marvel was involved because I did not expect that from everything we saw leading up because it does seem like a Wonder Woman and a Billy kind of problem going on. So I'm happy she's involved. I don't know how this is all going to work at the end, but that gets me excited. The majority of the issue, though, while I do love the art in both the front up and the backup, Wonder Woman feels off this whole time. Like, Mary's here, which is cool, but her interactions, this whole thing with what the undead hordes, like, and even the idea where the rest of the gods are, like, in on the siege of the planet, essentially, not just the Olympians. That's not really brought up a lot here. So, it, like, everything that we had in the first issue feels a little bit more contained here, not really talked about. So, it's a weird issue. I do look forward to the next one. This one just did not do it for me as much as I would have liked. There are aspects, though, I enjoyed, but a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a 6 out of 10 as well. And my big play, yeah, it makes that backup make more sense, but it didn't really do anything for the story. She was just there, tied up, and then she gets untied and then goes off.
And then argues with everybody.
And, it felt off, especially when you think about the idea of Clunrad's whole run. We're not exactly the biggest fans, but she didn't seem like this. She didn't seem as mean and argumentative, and I guess stress will do that to you, Eric, but we'll move on to the next book, another war, Eric. You love the wars. Which one is this?
Because war brings drama. This is DCeased. War of the Undead Gods, number 7, written by Tom Taylor with art by Trevor Hairsine, Lucas Meyer, I'm always going to fuck that up, but Andy Lanning, Rain Barreto, and Seda Temafante. And in this issue, it's all out war on Earth, too. And we have Alfred Pennyworth, the Spirit of Vengeance, so that's going to get us through as he gives his narration, where apparently we find out that the Brainiac of this Elseworld story, he ain't done as smart as our Brainiac from our universe. He's only a 9th level intellect.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a full-out mistake, or I don't know why that would be something that would be clever,
it's
because
weird.
he's just gone anyway. But I'm like, did he get dumber? I sent you a message. But here's my play with this. I don't know if everybody will agree. If you like it, you probably won't. But we're at the penultimate issue. We have one more issue left. And this one felt, the way the narration played out and the way that, you progressed this almost felt like this whole story was over. And it was one of those, and then we went to this world and cleaned up, and then we went, like almost the post-story epilogue. Hey, we went this. It didn't feel big enough in my mind because it's all just seeing panels of, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And it looks like, to me, that I think that Tom Taylor ran out of time and didn't know what to do because Lobo's here. He don't do shit.
Lobo, what are you talking about? He cures Darkseid of the anti-life.
That's it. And he gets his hands
and he kicks some ass and takes some names. Kicks Light Ray's ass. You know what? That adds a point right away.
He does shit. There's no, it could have been anybody.
Thing is, it could have been anybody. But the thing that I'm realizing in this, and I hope you could, like, maybe if we talk this out a little bit, this issue is just like every other issue where you have a big old battle going on and you have a lot of wow moments sprinkled in through here to make you say, man, I can't wait to see what happens next because of those individual little wow moments within a gigantic battle. Like the idea, here's Brainiac. Brainiac's here to save the day. Oh my God, out of nowhere, he's infected. Thankfully, here's Cyborg. Another,
everything happens in the way I'll talk it through. Like, you don't even get a chance to, whatever. I was going to say ingest. Maybe that is. You don't get a chance to just sit
digest
with those wow moments. Digest. I don't know. At first I was going to say
you ingest and you digest. You get congested because it's cold outside.
You end up the Kandorians. Man, that's awesome. That's a really good play, but they're just one panel. Then you go, oh my God, John's going to, he's caught. Then you have Brainiac. Oh my God. Oh no. You're just ping-ponging all around.
No, it is because
it feels so rushed to get to the ending.
Alfred Pennyworth is the spirit of vengeance. That's cool. Let's jump into this issue. Oh my God, Damien's infected with the anti-life, and
it felt weird.
Well, he fought Highfather. Highfather punched him in the face. He got some shit going on. Now he's got the anti-life.
There you go. He got
and
scratched.
He's like, look, Alfred, now that you are the spirit of vengeance, please don't kill everybody. Please choose life. And you know what? He's like, hey, Wonder Woman, Cassie Sandsmark, hey, you continue fighting these new gods. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to go peace out for a while. Hopefully you guys can hold the fort while I go do, spirit stuff. And then Alfred goes off to the original Earth. He goes and finds all the cure stuff to bring it back because he chose life. But that is the majority of what you're going to have, the Spirit of Vengeance Alfred, that we're all excited about.
You end up, we talked on the Patreon Spotlight, we did the Ra's al Ghul issue, where, oh my God, Batman's dying. Don't kill anybody, David. Do the right thing. It's the exact same scene, but
classic
now it's Damien.
Batman. He's learned so much.
He learned from his dad because it's almost the exact
same
scene.
Just like me.
And what you said in the Ra's al Ghul deal on the Patreon Spotlight was you were kind of taken about, like, Batman would have known maybe this would happen. He'd see what to do or whatnot. But in this, I just didn't have enough time to really sit there and go, oh my God, Damien's dead? Like, you're just going, and you could say it's because it falls to the wall. But it's just because it just happened. There's no feels to it because it just happens. And then you end up where, you kind of get the idea they're going to save things. But then you get the deal of it kind of seems silly where Alfred goes up and just has shipping containers connected to fucking, chains and shit.
I swear he just threw that shit through the atmosphere and we lost the majority of the cure as he's bringing these shipping containers through space to Earth.
It really wasn't a great transport, right? The shit's just going all over the place. But, there are big moments.
Oh, like the idea. The wow moments. Oh my God, a doom tube opened up with, anti-life reinforcements. Not only do we have Darkseid and all the Yellow Lanterns, but those motherfuckers brought around War World, dun, dun, dun. And then we continue our fighting, and then there's Superman, John Kent. Oh my God, War World's here, and they're going to Death Star this entire planet. And then Superman, John Kent, flies up and blocks all of it, destroys War World. So really, that did nothing the entire time. John's out of the fight, but Clark's still there, so it's okay.
And so I know that it's wow moment, right?
Move on.
This little tiny laser? What's going to... That's
going to blow up the world? Laser.
John blocks it with just him. It's not Death Star. That's a big
epicenter.
Deal. I'm telling you.
He's punching that laser back like some freaking Fleischer
cartoon. You, it just feels odd. And it's just there, again, like, wow. And then you go, oh my God, oh no, wow. And then there's Spectre. I got to leave the battle. I got to go. I have an idea. And it's just to go get the cure, which that's a good idea, I guess.
It's a great idea.
But even the idea, Brainiac being taken over... This is huge, but it only lasts a panel.
Again, that's the whole thing. Cyborg is just immediately on, Brainiac's ship. He's like, you know what? Erebus, I'm talking to you right now. The thing inside of Brainiac, I can see you trying to infect me and get through my firewalls, but you know what? You can't, Erebus, because I'm Cyborg. I created the infection. I'm immune to its effects. But you know what I can do? I can take over Brainiac, which means I have control of Brainiac's ship and all the knowledge of the universe that Brainiac had. All right, so I'm saying,
let's move on.
The weird part is, I was really expecting this point in time with the idea of the anti-life and Erebus, this primordial dark god. Well, I'm saying the idea that now that he has all the knowledge of Brainiac and everything that Brainiac has done with, destroying worlds and preserving all the knowledge, I thought his ass was going back to his ship to then embiggen all of these to infect them to have countless reinforcements of anti-life. But
almost like what they do with Kandor.
Exactly, because now that Cyborg has all of Brainiac's ideas, fuck, where is Kandor? Because I just realized how to embiggen things. We're going to have Kryptonians on our side. I don't know why they're going to choose to help you out of nowhere because you left them locked up in a bottle for all these decades. Whatever. They're here to fight anti-life for reasons they don't understand yet. And now we have reinforcements. But we move on because you don't have enough time. You don't have enough space to really show what this means.
You don't have enough space for a lot of things.
Kandorians are flying out there. Cool. Okay. The heroes are going to win some more stuff. Cyborg, he's got all the brain power of the Brainiacs now, even though it's not as smart as our Brainiac on our universe. But
and
whatever.
What does that do? And what does it end up? Because then when Alfred comes in with the cure, like you said, it just looks like he spilled it. Next panel, everybody's cured. I mean,
right.
It goes boom,
Damien's
boom.
cured, and now we're trying to fight that back to Yellow Lantern Darkseid, and we're going to shove a cure down his throat, and then we're going to say when he comes to, when he regains his right mind, you know what, Darkseid? This thing out there called Erebus, it made you its bitch. And all of a sudden it's like, well, Darkseid's on your guy team now because I ain't dealing with that. Darkseid says, no way, man.
Lobo gets his hand bit off right before, or as the antidote goes in, but he's like, I love that he's yelling. He's like, you bastard, I used that hand. You're going to get a new hand in 2 minutes. Just stop it.
But I like that one.
He ends up where all this going down, like, it's just nonsense. It just keeps going down the line where it is wow moment solution, wow moment solution, wow moment solution to just get at the end. Darkseid on their team. I'm going to go and take care of this Erebus. And that's one of my biggest problems of this whole deal.
I'm just trying to think about how it works because, okay, I'm Darkseid. I'm going to go turn the tables on Erebus. Oh, I'm infected again. I'm on Erebus' side again. I'm like, are we all good now? Because I can understand Cyborg being immune to this whole thing because she's the cause of it. But I just, for some reason, feel like, okay, you get infected, you get the cure. And like anything else, it's like a flu shot. You got to keep taking it.
Yeah, so he's going up. I don't know. But the idea that the big place suddenly, like, we didn't even understand, like, oh my God, the anti-life. And then, hey, Erebus, who? And then we've had this whole deal where he's, the man behind
Erebus.
the curtain, right?
What is that? Like, it is the worst reveal that you've been saying this entire, spin-off series or continuation, whatever you want to call it. There is no weight to this thing, Erebus, which you just keep naming and not doing anything with. I'm like, it actually would have been better if it was just this new kind of life created from this corrupted anti-life that acted as a virus.
Because obviously next issue, the finale, we're going to go after Erebus. Screw that. Let these two issues have room here because what everybody wanted more than I got to take down the Erebus is they wanted, people cured and the battle won, which they did. You could have just had that and then just screw Erebus. He's like, oh, he went back into the shadows, whatever you would do. Like if you're fighting the great darkness, it's just, okay, he's not going to die because he's the god. But it felt weird. And then to have this idea of the last issue, we have to spend time to go after Erebus, this thing that we never really saw. We were just told about.
Well, even during the battle, when you have Scott-Free and Big Barda, they're fighting Rodians and Thanagarians and all the new gods, whoever's there. And, oh my God, there's our son Jacob infected. And then Jacob attacks Scott-Free. And they're like, and we're moved on. And I guess it turns out okay because we got the cures here, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what's weird. That's what I'm saying. And you have these big moments, but they don't matter.
But the wow moments are still fun. Here's War World. Oh, it's over.
That's fun. Actually, as it went, it started getting less and less fun for me. I'm like, that's not going to matter any. And then when Alfred came in with the shipping containers, then I chuckled. Then I'm like, all right, I'll go with this.
For some reason, I was still on board by the end, even though it's like, I'm telling you, it's diminishing returns for me for the DCeased series because it does feel like the same formula over and over again with every issue where it's like, all right, sprinkle in some wow moments so people keep coming back, but ultimately we're going to have a big fight that nobody's going to be able to deal with and introduce a bigger character, then have that character taken down, then a bigger character. And you're just doing this rinse repeat over and over again. But I will say, by the end, when they're pretty much, yeah, Darkseid Erebus made you his bitch, you want to team up? Yeah. I'm like, all right, I want to see how this plays out.
Yeah. I don't really care about Erebus, and I'm sure they'll win, Eric, because this has been announced as the finale. But this whole DCeased War of the Undead Gods reminds me of the Dark Ages that he did at Marvel, where you never really got things going. It was a lot of wow moments, but you didn't have enough time. And I think you ended up where maybe there were too many wow moments. Maybe the idea, I mean, Damien getting infected, that should have a lot of feels in this, and it didn't have any because it was just so rapid fire.
He scratched his face. No, he'll be good. All right,
I mean, John ends up blocking the Death Star.
Dad, I did it. You sure did, son. You sure did. Look at this. John is flying at the Death Star, essentially, blocking the freaking planet-destroying beam that's coming down. His body is blistering. His clothes are burning off. He destroys the Death Star, and he falls in his father's arms. I did it, Dad. You sure did, son. Nowhere near the amount of feels that you got when John was trying to block Doomsday during Dark Crisis, and Clark jumped in to help him. That was amazing.
One of the things in this that I do like is something that I bring up occasionally when we're doing podcasts and even the other things that I do is the idea of being a hero isn't going into something fearless. It's actually going in when you do have some fear and, putting that aside. And you do have that put out. And that's okay. I do like that
when
part.
Alfred is narrating hardcore, talking about the idea of John Kent going against all of these things like Darkseid and then everything, it's like John puts aside all his fears. Not that he's fearless, it's that he fears more for the safety of everyone he loves more than his own. I'm like, this is good narration. This tells you great things about John Kent. We see it play out a little bit, but when the narration about what's going on is the best part, I'm like, it's kind of dwindling a little bit for me.
When we get to the Damien deal, I didn't even know what was happening. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? Oh, he's infected.
You say that. We have freaking, Superman fighting, Darkseid, and then Brainiac's like, he's kind of sneaking in the background, and then Brainiac was going to help him. And then I turned the page next to it, and then Brainiac's infected. I'm like, what happened? Why did you let Darkseid grab your head?
He wasn't 12th level, Eric. That's what happens when you're 9th. I mean, humans are like 6, so that's not that smart.
Use your long-ass computer tentacles you got going on. Don't get in there. Don't go for the headlock right away.
And Lobo's just there to get his hand off. I think he gets Light Ray, but I don't care.
Look, whenever anybody messes up Light Ray, I have a good time.
Yeah, that's fine. That is fine. But the funny, too, like you said, when you end up, holy shit, when did Brainiac get infected? Was pretty much where, oh my God, Jacob, he attacks his what happened? Where'd they go? They just disappeared. It just.
Like I'm telling you, though, the feeling of this with a lot of the situations where somebody becomes infected, like, oh no, what are we going to do? It's the same that we had with Mixoplex. Oh, here's the big thing that's going to help us. Oh no, he's infected. Let's move on. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, this issue, though, really feels to me like, I just want to get this done. I don't really have that much going on. We're going to have to fight Erebus to end it. And here we go. Yeah, Erebus. There you go. Whatever. But what would you give this?
Ultimately, I give this a 6.5 out of 10. I did enjoy the art. I had some fun with the battles, but it's the same kind of rudimentary fun that you have with any of this because there's not a lot of substance to it. Like I said, a lot of big wow moments as you continue on through the battle, but ultimately each new endeavor that you bring up, like here's something here, it's immediately wiped away and we move on to the next big thing. And it's just, look, it's fine what it is, but it's not something that's holding my attention much anymore, even though I do want to see Darkseid and the rest of our heroes team up to fight this Erebus character that I care nothing about.
I'm going to give it a 6. And the thing is, I want to just tell everybody, I'm a Tom Taylor fan. I know a lot of people throw shade at him, but the idea of Tom Taylor in Elseworlds, where people will say, I mean, I'll admit it. I think he's better at Elseworlds because he can do his own thing, but this whole ending here, because a lot of people got a lot of feels in the other two. Well, you go into this, and I'm not getting the feels, and I'm talking about the idea like the first season of Injustice, which I have a Patreon show going through, when Ollie ends up dying, and you have Dinah see that, or when Harley goes to Ollie and says, you're the only one who was never nice to me, and even later when you find out that she was pregnant, all these things, like, these are wow moments, but wow moments in the idea that they stick with me, and I end up getting very emotional with it. This just feels like going through the paces. Me saying that I don't like this as much, it's more of me saying that it's just not up to par with this other things, and even with the first DCeased, which we weren't really fans of either. I thought it was too fast even then.
I like the Unkillables.
But yeah, that was our favorite of, and in that, it was because he did more character work. I know you didn't like the Creeper, but he did a lot of stuff with Jason, and Ravager. He did stuff with that. That led up to the big feels of that whole, miniseries there. And that was my favorite as well because of the fact.
It was more contained.
Yeah, it was more contained. You got more character work. Creeper helping them kids.
I'm telling you, it's a bunch of assholes hanging out like saving kids at a school. We didn't have to worry about an entire world threat, not even world threat, but another world threat on top of everything else with doom tubes, this, that, and the other thing. We had character work in a Walking Dead situation in the DC universe, and it worked way better than this is.
To say it all the time with Tom Taylor, the wow factor and the wow moment of that whole series, in my mind, for me personally, because you said no, is that I actually cared about the Creeper. And you're like, I didn't. I'm telling you, that is a wow moment because I don't like the Creeper. He's creepy. I mean, there
What's
you go.
What's the Creeper ever do to you? I'm not saying I don't like him there, but like, what do you ever do to you to begin with?
He's slimy. He does things.
Not slimy. He just
he's
looks
not.
it.
I'll just tell you, he's not allowed like 6 blocks near a school. Is what I'm saying. And in that, he ended up, well, I'm looking at my mirror image, and I don't like what I see, Eric, but that's the sort of thing. And I didn't end up getting... I'm not getting those feels from it. I'm almost just like you're reading it, okay, here we go. And the wow moments I'm desensitized to. They're just over and over and over. So, and by the end, it didn't really matter. So 6 out of 10, but like I said, it's not that I am against. There's no vendetta with Tom Taylor. I really do like Tom Taylor when he's hitting. It's just that lately he seems to have gotten in a rut where the story's never. I'm not going to get into that. Here we go, Eric. We have one last book. Well, I could start complaining, but I probably already did. Eric. Wink, wink. Here's the last book of the night, Catwoman. Number 53, written by Teenie Howard, art by Nico Leone, Veronica Gandini, Lucas Gattoni. I don't know what happened in this book, Eric. I ended up not liking the idea of Catwoman going to jail. This whole thing is a mess. It doesn't even make sense.
I had high hopes for the idea of Selena Kyle trying to, punish herself for the slights that she believed happened when having some fun jail time romp, whatever you had going on. It seemed like something different and interesting while Aiko and Tomcat were out there doing Catwoman stuff. It felt something like it could have been cool and different. It's all I wanted.
Anything could be cool and different. I mean,
exactly.
I'm with you.
But we jump into this, and everything that we've established so far, which isn't much, of this Catwoman story arc, we're just turning on its head because now Wonder Woman, Catwoman, who's like, look, I deserve to be punished. I need to be here for the people that I've murdered. Even though you have the district attorney's assistant going around like, look, I can prove that you didn't do this, that Punchline did it. Get away from me. I don't need your help. And now it's like, hey, Punchline has a phase 2 going on the outside. Fuck this. We're getting out of here. I'm going to worry about what I did on the outside. I'm like, why did we go through any of this just for you to say Punchline has a phase 2 and then Catwoman to lose her mind while doing absolutely nothing in prison, but being pissed off because the guards got wise to her cat freaking smuggling ramen into the vents. There was 2 things to this book that either one could have been good. Both of them could have been great. That's what I wanted. But the Aiko stuff and Tomcat stuff, that's boring as shit.
Yeah,
stuff with Selena in prison. And I'm like, this could be good. That's terrible. And you've already changed the plot of what you wanted to do with her being like, have her like not resentment, freaking like, I was going to say reform, but what the hell is the thing where you like repent? She's there to repent her sins and everything that she feels that she's done terribly in her life. She feels that she belongs here. Hey, Punchline's got a face too.
Here's the thing.
We're getting out of here.
I'm going to tell everybody there are people who probably would have read Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, and maybe some of them were mad. Oh my God, why would Matt go in jail? He wanted to repent. I deserve it. I accidentally killed a guy, but I killed a guy.
Character.
We have to end up being accountable for all that, and he goes to jail and things that. But this is...
That sounds like Matt Murdock to me.
It's almost the same, but it never felt right for Selena. And then now it's a mess. It's a complete mess.
Well, no.
Even the stuff with Aiko, like you said, is boring. But I laughed, too, because you started talking like you were Selena, right? Not the classic Selena that you do, but...
Oh, my God, I'm in prison and it sucks now. Punchline, she's got a face, too. What am I even doing here?
When I was reading this... that was the voice that I was reading it out loud. I was reading out loud, but I'm like, get out of here. Like everything was people yelling at each other. Everybody's angry. The dialogue, it sounded exactly alike. Every single person talked exactly alike. And then you just start adding characters. Hey, I'm going to end up being your bunkmate here. I'm like, what is happening in this
Marquise.
book? Oh, my God, Marquise. Marquise just out of nowhere and like, all right, well, I'm going to have to teach you something. Luckily, I grabbed this burner phone from that piece of shit guy guard.
But just even the idea. All right, we need to make sure that Duchess is no longer in the vents. The guards are wise, so we have to make that a thing. So how do we get in contact with the outside now that Selena doesn't have a cat to pass notes through in the vents of her solitary confinement?
We're jumping through like 80 hoops.
See, Selena, she's handcuffed in solitary, asleep. And then she wakes up where there's already men with power drills working on this. Like all of a sudden, like how long was she sleeping for these men to come inside and start doing stuff to where then she takes off her handcuffs
that's what they do in solitary.
them.
They just come in and start working. They don't like get her and put her in another
and
cell.
Then, after I hold this man hostage and the guard's like, hey, Kyle, get out of here. You can't threaten people. I pocketed his cell phone that you're not allowed to have in prison, but he forgot to take off because it's his burner phone that he keeps from cheating on his wife with, and he's not going to miss this because then he's going to go home. He's not going to think about it till later after his wife's asleep. And then after he realizes, oh my God, my burner phone's gone, he's not going to be able to report it because you can't have that in prison. And you also don't want to tell your wife that you have a burner phone for hookups. I'm like, did we really need to talk about all this?
But Eric, the piece of shit didn't charge it that day. Oh, no, I got to get a charger.
Hey, girls, it's time for a heist. In prison. To get a phone charger from a doctor in freaking the medical bay.
Okay, who has a cavity? I do. All right. What you're going to do is go in, and you're going to end up using your toxic breath.
Your fear toxin breath to knock them out because, fear toxin.
Because, you kind of forgot you had that because they treat you like shit here.
What
I'm like,
fuck?
Really? That's what? Like, all of a sudden, you have this power and you get put in prison. You're like, oh, well, I guess I'll forget about that superpower.
Hey, Lady Clayface, make yourself look like a guard and go get this.
We're in county jail.
And that's the weirdest part. You and I have been talking about this, where, this felt weird because if this is supposed to be Blackgate, which, bunch of supervillains like this with the superpowers, the metagenes, and all that shit that's going on might want to be in Blackgate right now. Like, why isn't any of the stuff that we saw during the Punchline trial going on with the Royal Flush Gang? Why aren't we picking up anything that we left off there?
No, we
with
get
this
them at the end.
And now we find out in this thing, oh no, this is just county jail. I'm like, what? She's a murderer. Is she waiting on the trial? And what's the trial even going to be? Like, I don't understand why any of these people.
Some of these people with meta powers. They're in county like they've been there for 8 years. I don't get it. Then you end up where Selena's like, I'm dumb. How many times in an issue do you have, hey, girls, break it up.
Get back to the common room.
Come on. And then you end up where Selena's had enough. I'm done with this prison. Like, I love the idea that she sits there and says, basically, like you said earlier, man, I thought prison was going to be a lot of fun. I thought this was going to be a lot of fun, but I want to get the hell out of here now, so I'm going to send a note. Pass it around, girls. The note says, I'm done being the queen in here. I'm going back to Gotham to be a free pauper, but I can't break out of this place alone.
Classic
Who's
Selena.
with me? And I'm like, who's the Shakespeare around here? I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? Nothing feels right. It is falling apart. Here's the other thing that makes me laugh about this. This feels like a story you would have because a huge event is going on and you have to get a character out of the way. You have to there's no reason we had this. This should have been maybe, hey, you killed Valmont. I'm going on the lam. She's there with, Aiko. And I don't get it. This has led to nothing. Then they're training again. Now it's time for breakout. And they're just going to train their boxing skills, right?
I guess the entire time like that you are just fighting. But when you have this going on, you also have Aiko on the outside doing Catwoman stuff. And I don't understand why, because we have the Gentleman's Club. We have Black Mask. This has been the big threat. We've had Punchline versus the Gentleman's Club. All this intriguing shit that I want to see going on in Alleytown. Aiko is now Catwoman. She has her sidekick, Tomcat, who is like Dario. But now it's like, all right, the one guy who's not a part of the Gentleman's Club, who we then made peace with, who gave them Onyx to fight, turns out he has death fights going on. He's not keeping his nose clean. We got to go and fight him, beat the crap out of him. Onyx is going to, handle my light work for some reason, but then I got to go and do Aiko stuff. And you know what, Dario? When I go in, go in there to the meeting with the Gentleman's Club, did you make sure to bug the place? Yep, I bugged it right after they sweat for bugs. So now when you go in there and ask the Gentleman's Club your questions for the mob boss families, I'm going to be able to listen, and then I'm going to be able to go and send that to Selena Kyle. But ultimately, it's like, why are we doing any of this stuff on the outside? Because it just de-evolves into the idea of everything we had with Punchline and the Royal Flush Gang. Hey, here's Queen. She's out and about with the crazy eights, and then Aiko just beats the crap out of her and sends her to jail. And now we just have Queen in jail with her crazy eight gang saying, I know that's Catwoman that I fought on the street. She's not the real Catwoman. I'm sure that she took the fall for the murders of Amygdala and Valmont during that warehouse fire. And I'm sure that she's hiding out in jail. And I'm going to find her. What happened to the story?
What happened? I'm just looking at a couple things. One is that dialogue when you end up having, hey, we're going to start out in the character Fright. And she goes, oh, she has the molar. Oh, look at the molar. And it says, this girl has more than gumption.
Halitosis.
She can deliver a non-lethal nerve toxin with her breath. They used to call her Fright. She was just so used to being treated like garbage in here, she forgot to use it.
Obviously.
What the hell are you talking
like
about?
Any criminal.
Also, another big play here is, you want to tell a story, you want to have some fun or whatnot, but there is a big moment that we take a time to have Dario pull in his car and go too forward so Aiko doesn't fall into the car. She lands on the road.
And I guess his boyfriend Noah wasn't thrown in the trunk like I thought last issue.
Yeah, and then they can shoot Noah, and he's like, I don't want to do that. And oh, my goodness. Even then, the dialogue is so off of my mind, but I love that you have to get this whole play where Aiko is really pissed off that she didn't get to jump off the roof into the car because he didn't stop in time. I'm like, really? This is what we're dealing with? And then there's just weird plays back and forth when they are able to. He could, you could kill Noah here. He ends up where he can do it.
Not yet.
Yeah. And then I'm telling you, Aiko pretty much says, like, how I go with it, if you don't kill him now, then you kill him later, but you didn't want to kill him later because you kill him now. I don't know what's happening.
When you have Selena even talking to Dario and Aiko on the phone that she confiscated from that piece of shit in solitary, the idea is like, all right, guys, you keep an Alleytown clean. Make sure you keep up with the cleanup over there. But you know what? You better get out of town. I'm like, What do you want him to do? Like, no, we're not leaving town. We're probably just going to go and do that first thing you said. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening anymore with what we're doing with Aiko and Selena.
All she has to say is, I'm coming for Alleytown. I'm going to make sure it's Theo. Don't be Catwoman for a bit. I'm coming out. Like, Aiko's not going to leave town.
No. She's in charge of the Hasegawa crime family.
It just doesn't make sense overall, but the art's okay, right?
No, the art's the best part about it because this entire thing is, I don't mind the art. I think this book looks great through and through. I was hoping that the storyline would be great because it's a new direction for Catwoman. We get Aiko in the Catwoman, costume, which is different for the book as well. Something goes back to Carmine. I'm sorry, what was the writer on that? It was Valentine. Valentine's one of Catwoman. Genevieve Valentine. Goes back to that, and you and I both enjoyed that. I thought this is going to be a really cool new start for this book, going in a completely different direction.
And that was a really obscure something to go back to, right? We didn't think that was going to happen.
It was cool, but now it's just, you got two stories going on, and neither one of them interesting. And I can sit back and say, well, at least the art looks good, and maybe one day I'll find out that Valmont's still alive and turned himself into Duchess.
Yeah, you wanted him to be the cat.
I don't want him to be the cat. I just want this to make sense with the cat.
This whole thing is, it's really a mess. It really is. And you end up having an ad because Teenie Howard's going off to do Harley. I hope it's better than this because
hopefully
nobody seems to like this. And again, when you get a new run or a new writer on a book, yeah, I know. We actually were kind of impressed at the beginning, but it's fallen apart in ways that it's not like she doesn't know the character. I don't actually think she even is writing. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure she knows what she's writing with the character.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like she's going against anything because she's not doing anything.
Well, even the idea, it's like, all right, I'm going to make sure that Duchess can't get letters back and forth to Bruce and Aiko anymore. But then I got to create a phone. And then because I don't have enough story, phone's not going to have enough charge. We got to get the girls to do a heist to get the cord to the charger for the phone. And then we're going to find out the punchline's got a phase too. And now Catwoman, even though all she's wanted this entire time is to be in prison, now that she has this text message, she's going to break out to prison.
I think that the only play that you have that charger is so that you can say there are some meta-humans here, which makes no sense in County. But you saw Fright's power, but in a way that was so freaky and fucked up that you didn't need to do all those hoops. You didn't have to do that.
Why is the nurse or dentist or whoever this woman is working for the county, she has a charger, but why?
She's got a fetish for chargers. Yeah, they didn't even say that's ridiculous. Yeah, she shouldn't have that. You're right. And so the play, though, in my mind is that somebody will say, well, if this is this character Fright, why didn't she use the powers before when they were having problems? She forgot about them.
She forgot because she was sad. She was treated like garbage. They treat them like
garbage in County.
For how long has she been here?
That's what I'm saying. They're in County. And then, just to go all around in full circle to end this nonsense, is the idea that here's Selena. We don't really know why these people are in there. These women are in this prison for something we don't know. Selina's in for murder, so there could be murder, whatever. She says, hey, everybody, I'm going to get you out. And, well, you're going to get us out. We're not going to be able to get jobs. Oh, yeah, you will. You're going to be thieves. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Best reform there is.
That is not the right way to do this.
Well, how about this? She finds out the Punchline has a phase 2. This is her big inspiration. And it's like, I got to break out of prison, but you know what? I'm going to need these women to help me do it. So we're going to train for a while, do some sparring, get them really up to the idea of using their powers, using their physicality to make sure that when we do have our breakout, we're going to break out of here no problem. The guards find them sparring when we have new new inmates coming in. All right, girls, you got to get back to the common room because you're not allowed to be here. There's going to be shots for everybody. And then this idea of where we're pushing everybody out and making sure they go back to oh, she's got a phase 2, huh? This is pages and pages after she finds out. Out of nowhere, it's just Selina. Oh, she's got a phase 2, huh? I'm like, it was the weirdest progression of it. Oh, and here's Queen over here. She's in jail with you now, too.
I know that it's supposed to be a badass moment, right? That end, our breakout plans. I laughed. It cracked me up. But again, the whole plan here is like she's going to break out with these girls. And she says
but not
that
now.
I love it. It's like, hey, the cops will be after us. They'll come. No, just get this. You're going to be thieves. And they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. And no.
Be cool.
I love how Teenie Howard tries to make this work by saying, you'll only steal a little and you'll donate it to charity and you'll do. No. You're still breaking out of prison and want them to commit more crimes. That does not make any sense, Selina. This is bullshit.
Good job,
By
Catwoman.
the end, I'm like, whatever. I mean, maybe you should have had the idea where they were like, hey, we're in prison, but we'll get you out, Selina. You can do and she's, I'll be back for you, girls, and then forgets them immediately as she runs out. But you end up where it makes it like, are these going to be hanging out with the strays? Finds out that the one murdered 7 people. That over there, like, what did they do to get in here and you're letting them go out?
What, like, asshole in, like, the government or whatever kind of, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how the law works and how people get sent to different places. Are we just a county waiting for trial to go to Blackgate?
I don't know.
I just want to know who the asshole is. You know what? Let's just put Lady Clayface in county. It's Lady Clayface.
Yeah, and like, hey, what are you talking about? Fright? You can't put Fright in county. Don't worry. We'll treat her like garbage and she'll forget that she's Fright. Don't worry. Just shut your mouth and hide your burner phone, you piece of shit. Yeah, and make sure they don't get a toothache. I don't know what went on. This is so bad.
Well, I had promise with the idea.
I said to you, well, again, I kind of expected this and said that I think you're going to be jumping through a lot of hoops in this. And yeah, Teenie Howard didn't come through and we still have, maybe an issue or so. I forget when it is. I think she's out in June. Okay. So we'll have maybe 2 issues. I'll tell you by the end that I kind of have fun, though, reading it and laughing. I get a chuckle. And why is it Catwoman getting that? Because Ann Nocenti in the New 52 was just as wacky and convoluted as this.
Absolutely not.
And I laugh. Oh, my God.
Way more. And Ann Nocenti was way more wacky than this.
I laughed the whole time. And then, like you said, though, parts that should have been exciting were boring, and then parts that should have been serious, they made no sense.
You were laughing at it.
Well, sometimes I like laughing. The world laughs at me. I get to laugh at something, and it's this Catwoman book. It's so bad. What would you give it, Eric?
I like the art and pretty much a little else about this book. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 as well. Pretty much for the art. I could go down to a 3.5, but the art is really good, and the weird play, though, again, is at the end, out of nowhere.
And the art's not even really good. It's just competent.
I'm going down to a 3. Screw it, because at the end, to convoluted, fix this idea of the Queen of Hearts now in jail so that you do get what you complained about. Hey, we don't have the Royal Flush Gang. This isn't fixing it. Making this roundabout way with the Crazy
Eights.
Oh my! And then Selina. So she does have a phase 2, does she? What the?
Breakout plans have changed, girls.
Ancient punchline secret, huh? I'm like, this book is a mess. So bad. Oh, my goodness, Eric. But we'll have to wait another month to have fun talking about it again.
No.
It is one of those things. I would say, talking to you about this, I'm not reviewing this. I'm trying to figure it out with you. Like, we come in and I'm like,
it's a puzzle.
I need to figure this out. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's so bad. Oh, my God. You did have the Dario where he said his sexy line, like, you don't want to know what I do. I actually laughed with that. I wasn't even laughing at that. I thought that was funny, but there's no character work. It was just a weird line, though,
out of nowhere. Like,
because there's no character work.
What I'm saying, yeah. I'm trying to remember how the line went, but it's like, I do a lot of things that guys aren't supposed to do. I'm like, yeah. All right, but like, whose idea of guys?
I swear to God, when you have that, I thought we had an editor's note. He's gay.
I eat cereal with a fork.
It's so crazy the way that she's like presenting things, and I don't know. What was going on too? Like the idea, Dario's talking to Selena, right? He's there on the phone, and then Aiko comes in. Selena's talking then to Aiko, who's not near the phone. Then Aiko goes to the phone. I'm sorry, you must have the wrong number. We don't take orders here.
Take that, jailbird.
What, is that a joke? Or do you think, like, I don't know who this is? It made no sense. But why would you be joking at a point where, number one...
Because they're not in prison.
But Selena's in jail calling.
They have the freedom to have fun.
Shit has gone wrong, and that's a joke. And the thing is...
Has it really gone wrong?
She doesn't have a smile on her face.
We can't get contraband to Selena anymore. Oh, no.
I really think that the play was maybe that she's like, I don't recognize the number, but the problem is that Dario's already talking to Selena. It made no sense. Ooh, they're working magic there. They're working their, stand-up. I'm sorry, it pretty much, I mean, it's Poe. Last Jedi, Poe nonsense.
Okay, I'm sitting there like, Edgar Allan, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's Poe from The Last Jedi. Sorry.
Everybody, it's Poe.
Yeah. Oh. I'm down to a 2. I'm down to a 2, and that really got me, Eric. That really got me. But I don't think this will be our book of the week. But what is your book of the week?
My book of the week is Batman, One Bad Day, Ra's al Ghul, #1.
That is mine as well. We actually liked that a lot. Had a lot of fun talking about it, Eric. That's over on the Patreon, patreon.com.
This is his wolf friend.
/weird science. But Eric got caught up. If you're not on the Patreon, didn't hear, Eric got caught up with, is that like a clone of the wolf? Like,
did they find more of the species?
Oh, my God, because if they did, a lot of people died.
Yeah, they still deserved it.
Yeah,
piece of shit.
No, I mean, that girl,
piece of shit.
Piece of shit, Eric. What is she? She's there living the high life with the money, and then she's throwing shade at everybody. Oh, my goodness. Here are the books that we'll be talking about.
Living the low life, throwing the shade at everybody.
Here's what we'll be talking about next week. 2 of these books will be, again, on the Patreon Spotlight, patreon.com/weirdscience, to help us out and get a bunch of podcasts, including that Spotlight. And there's a bunch. We have 10 books that me and you are going to be dealing with. So that means another Friday of work, Eric. Action Comics number 1053. I just want to know what is happening in the mind of the Power Girl. That's what I need, Eric. I want to see what's going on.
You get it. I don't need that personally, but I think you might get it.
The psychotropic weird deal of the psychology.
Is that like a crazy Caribbean island?
I don't even know what the hell is. I've heard that pronounced that way, you fucking
tropic.
You prick.
I think of dick.
And that's how you pronounce it. You also have Blue Beetle Graduation Day #5. That's a book that me and you like, but
waiting for the invasion.
There ain't going to be an invasion. I'm telling you, they're never going to.
Yeah, right.
There's not going to be an invasion. It's such a weird book, but we like talking about it.
Fadeaway's there. He's large and in charge. He's going to fucking save the day along with Jaime Reyes.
The books that end up driving us nuts, we certainly have a lot to talk about. When the book is just like, yeah, that's kind of fun. I mean, we're struggling at points. That World's Finest is a nice book, but not a lot to talk about. Dark Knights of Steel #10. Oh, my. I think that the last time that book came out, it was
what happened in that book?
It was previously? The Middle Ages. I mean, that's why it worked. It wasn't even like in Elseworlds. We were just living in castles.
Didn't we kill some queens in that, and all of a sudden see the Martian?
Oliver Queen? Is that what you
Kings
mean?
And queens and guillotines?
The Queen. Yeah, I think that it was the idea where. Didn't Laura do some shit?
Yeah, I got to go back and reread the last issue. It's been a hot minute.
We're going to have to. That sucks, Eric. And then, speaking of progressions. I wasn't, but Detective Comics number 1070. Will we have more Wolfman? Will we find out what the Orgums
The reality engines.
I don't mind putting flowers on a piano, but put my tulips on an organ, and I'm in, Eric. I am in.
You stay away from the organs.
And then we can end up having that backup with Cy Spurrier just to show me how much it's going to drive me nuts when he's on the Flash.
Okay, so we're going to jump in, right? And we're just going to say, because a lot of times you and I will do different things. We're not reading that backup detective, right?
Are we not? The problem is, so last time you did. I didn't think we were going to, because what happens then, this is what I say we're not. I don't want to be mind freaked. Okay. If I want to get mind freaked, I'll call Chris Angel. He'll come over. When we go, though, you'll end up getting done, and then you'll see something, and it'll be like, oh, wait a second. This
might be important.
And then you'll read, and then we'll start the podcast, and I'll say,
hey, did you read this guy?
We have this. And you'll ask, but that's the thing. You'll say to me, we don't have to talk about it, but then I'm like, well, you read it.
All right, I'll talk about it. It's fine.
We are. I don't know. We'll see.
We're exactly where we left off previously.
It's a mind.
No progression for us.
So, well, yeah. Or the book. I mean, it works then. So hopefully we find out some stuff about the
Hopefully
organs.
Batman does stuff this time.
This one person was, and again, there's no real argument. If you like the book, you like the book. But the guy said, oh, man, you're an idiot for not liking it. It's like one of those.
That's not why he's an idiot.
Like a Grant Morrison type deal. If you don't like it, it's because you're stupid and don't understand it. And I said, okay, well, hey, Smarty Pants. Here, come on over here, Smarty Pants. Give me your, deal right now. Tell me the Orgum family and their kind of family tree. Tell me who's involved, how they're related, and what they're all about. You can't.
Tough guy.
You can't. They end up, well, that's not really important. Oh, really?
What is important?
The big villain, yeah. At points, Mommy wants this. And then you're like, I think that's an uncle, but that might be a bodyguard. And then we got a werewolf.
No, it turns out it's just a servant lady. That's a werewolf.
They're building something. I don't know.
We're buying up properties all the time. We got asthma homeless soldiers in the subways. It's crazy.
You know what they're not building? Forward momentum. It's not being built. Yeah. Well, actually, it is slipping a bit. And that's where you ended up where I think Ram V kind of saw that. And he started to say that somebody ended up, hey, I got this mail. And somebody told me that it really checked out, that they went through all of the Gotham history, though at the beginning said, they're a new reader, but somehow did like years of research. I don't know what's going on. I think he ended up where
10,000 hours.
I think more and more people are saying this is kind of pretentious bullshit, and he's kind of running scared. But we'll see. And if you like him, go at it. Have fun. It doesn't look like he's on some of the Marvel books that he was on, but they didn't announce him getting kicked off, but he's not in the newer solicits, and some of these are being taken over. We also have, you guys like the Dawn of DC? Do you, Eric? Are you in?
I do.
Harley Quinn, number 28.
The big book.
The big book.
There's nothing that screams Dawn of DC more than a Harley Quinn number 28.
Yes. Yes. And 28. They didn't even start with the new number one. But you end up where I did get some people talking about this, and I didn't want to get any spoilers, and I'm not going to spoil anything for everybody else, but they did say that, beware, Teenie Howard may not quite know the character. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods.
I know your character.
Number 2. Yeah, exactly. Well, these were Harley fans, Eric.
Just like you.
I'll tell you, they're more Harley fans than me. They take it. These people take it to the streets. Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods, number 2. Anybody can throw shade or whatever. I'm looking forward to that.
So
I actually haven't hated this as much. Haven't hated it as much as I thought. We end up, I had The Stranger early.
Unacceptable!
And I'm telling you, I'm worried about Clunrad, but G. Wilson, until she did which is funny, until she did Wonder Woman, I was really into a lot of the things she did. And since then, I haven't, but I kind of like the first issue, and I hope that it means something. I hope that it makes sense. That's all I need. That's all I need.
There with you.
So hopefully we have fun. Punchline, the Gotham game, number 6.
Oh my God, the hidden gem, the unsung hero of the DC universe right now. And everybody thinks I'm being sarcastic, but I enjoy that book, and I look forward to this issue.
I know you enjoy it, but your scores aren't great because it's
Jim,
okay. I want more of Punchline, and suddenly we're going to get Phase 2.
But Jim, she has Phase 2 going on in Catwoman, but at the end of the last issue of Punchline, the Gotham game, she came face to face with the faux Joker. This could only mean bigger and better things for the Punchline series and the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing series, huh?
Yeah. What, the Joker? Well, the faux Joker. You mean the faux Joker that's in the sewers with Solomon Grundy?
Yeah, he's being
we'll
fed
see what
rats.
happens. Maybe you got that. It's a phase 2. Phase 2, Eric. Yeah.
We'll see about that, bitch.
I don't mind talking to you about the punchline, mainly because I like to yell at you. I just wanted more punchline. I'm not getting enough punchline. It's nonsense. Stargirl, The Lost Children,
so
number
people
5. Where is the stranger?
A child.
Yeah, really. I know. I like the Stargirl book, so
as well.
you know. So take that, jerks.
I take it.
I mean, seriously, I'm talking to all you jerks out there, right?
Piece of shit.
I just wanted to use that, Eric. I like.
Can't wait to find out what's going on with the Hour Man of DC 1 Million and how he's the big bad of this, or supposed big bad.
Well, that is true. I actually am really looking forward to talking to you, Eric, but also when this book ends up melding in with the JSA book. I'm really looking forward to like a bigger story with everything going on, and maybe that'll help the sales for the JSA.
And maybe when Jay Garrick gets his daughter back from Stargirl, The Lost Children, he'll be like, oh my God, we better call Batman in this book to have him see his lost children of the Huntress. Because why can't we just have Batman and Catwoman meet their goddamn daughter from the future?
Well, maybe we will.
Do it, Jeff Johns.
Stranger. We also have, as I look here, Eric, a book that we know and love. It was once Eric's book of the week. I'm talking about Tim Drake Robin, number 7.
Canceled.
Seriously, that book already fell out of the top. Is it going to fall out of the top 10,000 now that it's canceled? I mean, who is going to buy that book? The book drives me nuts.
All right, but the thing is, it's a new story arc. We can do anything. We can go anywhere for the few months left of the series that we have left. So it doesn't have to be restrained by that terrible, terrible Moriarty story. We can do stuff that might be fun, might be interesting, and might make Tim Drake a reliable Robin again in everybody's mind who's still reading the book.
Yeah, mate. Me and you. I talked to a lot of people. I even had a video about it, and I did say, like, unless you have read the book, you can say anything about why it was canceled, things like that. But if you read the book, you know, on top of anything, anybody, that book was awful. It was awfully written. The art, somebody told me today that Riley Massimo has a place. There's a place for his art. I said, yeah, anywhere my eyes aren't. That's what I want. Just get it out of there. But it's true. I mean, I said that some of the covers that he has, they're unique.
Glowing reviews from Jim Warner.
Unique. They are terrific. We also have Unstoppable Doom Patrol, number 1, Denny Colbert. Will he be French-Canadian or will he be Dennis Culver? That is the question, because that means something to me.
Well, you remember any of this next week.
Well, Denny Colbert, that is when I like what he's writing. When it's Dennis Colbert, he's just run-of-the-mill. So I hope Denny Colbert shows up. Again, this early bird special things that people have told me about, I've only heard good things about it from people who have read it. So hopefully that'll be a deal, because
mostly there's Doom Patrol fans.
And that's a dawn of
and you
DC.
Are not.
No, I'm not. So you're going to have to go a little step further, Denny, is what you're going to have to do. And he better know that he's trying to win my love.
Dig a little deeper,
He's
Jimmy.
trying to win my love. Where's Reggie? I always leaned on Reggie with that. But really, by the time we got to issue 4, I'd be out making a sandwich, and you and Reggie could talk about it. We do have a book that I actually was kind of like, whoa, what's going on? But it's a black label, Eric. But it's Waller versus Wildstorm, number 1. When I was going down the list and I saw Waller, I thought it was going to be like, oh my God, Earth 3 stuff. We're going to War of Earth 3 again now. Now it's a black. I mean, it's Wildstorm and it's black label. Holy, how much further away from Eric Shea's interest can it get? Not
Jim
much.
Warner.
So we end up, jerk.
What? Oh, Wildstorm, Jim Warner.
You better watch it, or I'm going to send you up to the psychotropic right now. We have all of that going down with that. Well, why wouldn't they? It's the most dangerous game. It really is. Or is that the Gotham game? 2 of those books will be on the Patreon spotlight. I'm hitting my.
That
2 of
make
those
a joke.
books. Yeah, it does. When anything you say, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you, Eric, that I have a terminal disease. Oh my goodness! It makes it all fun, then, right? Everything's great. Seriously, Eric, I'm in big trouble. We have 2 of those books that will be over there in Little China. I don't know.
Or my sequel that nobody knows about, The Big Trouble in the Big Easy.
Now we're
Voodoo
back.
Zombies.
Doesn't he have an eye patch? Doesn't Jack have an eye patch as well?
No, Jack Burton doesn't have an eye patch.
He should.
I think there is a comic where Jack Burton does meet Snake Plissken, though.
Really? Remember at one point when I had been laid off, like the first time, I ended up doing some of those side reviews, and I did end up doing the Snake Plissken, The Escape from New York. I reviewed one issue, and it was fucking terrible.
Yeah,
I did not like it. Yeah, it was not very good. But 2 of those books will be on the Patreon Spotlight. I will say that now that we talked about things, it's weird. I think Doom Patrol will be, but I also think
Punchline.
I think that Punchline could. Stargirl, though, is there too a lot in Lazarus
She is
Planet.
there, too.
All of it, Eric. This would have been the week that I would have screwed everybody, but you said not to. 5th week of days, but not books, Eric.
Nope.
But yet
4
the
weeks of
Marvel
comics this month.
side of things.
You can do whatever you want over the Marvel side.
At one point, it just was for everybody, but we will not be doing that. We'll be back to do and have this shit show back again. Maybe by then I'll strangle you to death. We'll see.
You have to find me first, bitch.
I got some plans. I'll just wait outside. I'll come up.
Wait outside where?
I'm going to Nancy Kerrigan your ass. I know the front door. I'm going to be sitting there with a pipe. Yeah.
You sure?
I watched you walk in the door at least.
Yeah. You think that's the door I actually continue to go through, or wait till you leave?
How about this? I know where your mailbox is, and you can have your fucking toys in because you're a little baby.
And again, I haven't checked my mailbox in like a month. They get delivered to my door.
Well, then I'll wait for some asshole with a box that, okay, that looks like some toys, and I'll follow him in. I got
a Jay Garrick in the mail yesterday. It was in such a weird box. I didn't think it was actually big enough to fit a McFarlane figure, like packaging. I'm like, and it was like long, almost tubular. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, I was expecting Jay Garrick, but I'm like, what the hell is this? I opened up. I'm like, somehow the box magically was just the right size. I'm telling you, it was a bit of magic. I've never seen anything of its like.
Yeah. Did you say it's totally tubular? Is that what you said? And then Jess came out.
So that makes it funny.
Jess came out and she's like, I hate to tell you, but we're not going to be able to eat tonight. We're dead broke. Oh my God. But then we hit the button. Everybody loved it. She's my
sugar mama.
Yeah, she is. So with all of that, though, that's it. That's the end of the show. Thanks, everybody. Again, if you want to listen to a bunch of other shows, bunch of people involved, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/weirdscience, but also check out our website, weirdsciencedccomics.com, and our YouTube channel, Weird Science Wait a minute. Weird Science Comics, where you can get
I want a big fat cock.
All sorts of videos that I end up doing. Oh my, they must be funny, Eric. I hit that. But that is it. What do we say at the end of the show, Eric?
Everybody have a great week. Keep it weird. And we'll see you in 7.
See you in 7.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.